What's up, Brooke? Happy Thursday. What's up, Zelfie? Chuck me softly. Tenario. Love the DVD logo in the background. Thank you. I hope it hits the corner. Oh my god, close already. What's up, Kestrel? Bilbo. TLDR, Stanz made a huge mistake and I have to clean up Stanz's mess. Hell yeah. I love it. I wonder what we're going to title and thumb this. What's up, McFertile? Did you watch the finale last night? Of course I did. Of course. Oh, Logan, comma George update. Come on, come on. Thoughts, opinions? I kind of subscribe to the belief that the jury cannot be wrong. But man, I think Kenzie played a pretty weak game. That's it. Final 5 challenge was whack. Oh yeah, I hate that when someone teams up. It's just meant for a different show. That show, Survivor, is so much about the rules that the fact that that could happen, you're like, wait, what? Final 4 challenge ruled. What's up, Levs? What's up, Pushy? Who did I picked over Kenzie? Charlie for sure. I was rooting for Maria going into the 5. I don't like this George dude. He's an Andrew Tate dick rider. Yeah, I presume I won't like him either, but I have to give him a fair shake, you know? You got any tips on losing some weight? No, I wish. You know, count your calories, hit your macros, exercise. There was no world Liz wins the entire time. Liz was a little bit off base for sure. For sure, for sure. What are you going to do, though? Is unpaid intern this weekend or next? Unpaid intern. I guess I don't even know what Ludwig has said. I think the next episode, it's going to be a while before it hits. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. I think Kenzie played an amazing social game, and the edit was so heavy-handed it was hard not to see her as the winner. But yeah, very crushing for Charlie, who they showed to be playing a great game, but didn't stand out too much socially. Yeah, I think Kenzie played a great social game, but played not just bad, horrible every other game. I think her strategic game was really bad. I think her challenge game was really bad. I think her, like, camp life game was really bad. And so it's like, it just... Again, the jury can't be wrong, but it's like, man, definitely not going to look back and be like one of my favorite winners. Let's set on stream he wants it to be just a video and not live, and he was going to test it for an episode and see. Okay, yeah. That video, I think, probably won't come out until, like, mid-June. Do you think they need to put less emphasis on Superfan? I think they did. I think this season was great. They had a bunch of just, like, people. How you feel about video versus live for unpaid intern? I think I am too close to it to know, because I just love live content in general. It's kind of my preferred mechanism for delivering things. But I also understand why it was hurting the final product. DJ Strange, thank you for the 17 months. I couldn't figure out who that dude. It took me I had to Google so much to figure out Not not John Lovitz. Fuck it. There's a guy in the next season of Survivor that's famous, and I was staring at him for so long. What's his name? It was a challenge to figure it out. John something? Definitely not John Lovitz. That'd be crazy. Yeah, I think just the viewership on the video was bad. So are you voting Labor Party or Conservative Party? Who's keeping the price of beans below inflation? I am so myopically American politics pilled that I don't even know. I don't know anything about any other country, which is not good. Did you watch T1 versus G2 Valorant? No, but I heard G2 won, which kind of, I was gonna say kind of crazy, but it's not like T1's been shooting straight lately. I saw a comment thread and I can see both sides. Live makes sense because it mimics the live portion of Taskmaster and also because contestants are live streamers. However, video allows for a much more refined final product and will push more views to the edit instead of just the VOD. Yeah, and I think that you just can't have a video on Ludwig's channel that has literally a quarter the number of views of like his average video. Especially when we're like spending so much time, effort, hard work on it. What's up, James? Heartbreaking news on Odd Jobs too, but I think Webby's doing the right thing. I haven't watched his video yet. I heard it's canceled though, which is very sad. Very, very sad. I had a great time doing Unpaid Intern with him, and I think he's got the right mind for it. But I also understand that, like, hey, this shit costs a lot of money, man. Been there. I honestly had no idea where to watch Last Ep. I only watched it through your video and then later through clips on Ludwin. Yeah, I mean, they've all been on his live part of his YouTube, and then they've also all had their own standalone videos, but... When's the George and Logan drama update? In 25 minutes. Kance is driving frantically to the office right now. What's up, Pixel? But I feel you. Yeah, it can be weird when something like is streamed and then like you'd have to watch the VOD to see it all. Then there's an edited version that is only slightly edited. It's tough. It's a drama sort of day, just a little bit. To be honest, I don't necessarily want to do drama, but I do think that it is the right thing to correct the record and at least be honest about like what is going on. Because I just want to play Trackmania. That's all I want to do. I want to get to the top of DeepDip 2 Shallow Dip. I hope we get some Carly beef today. I watched for 5 minutes after the raid. She got much farther than me. Dailies until Kansas ready? Yeah, we'll do some dailies. Let's just knock some out, huh? Let's just have a little bit of fun. Give me, I was gonna say the NYT mini, but I'm a little sleepy. Let me wake up. Give me a game doll. Give me a game doll. A new concept has been added. The franchise will allow grouping these games that are related but not part of the same saga or series. That's pretty cool. Connections was hard today? Well, let's check it out. Dave, thank you for the prime. Give me a classic. Oh. What are you talking about? It's a rutabaga. It's a potato. It's grass. Oh, is this underwater? Wait, that could help me. Is this underwater or is this ghosts? I'm gonna say this is Oddworld. Abe's Odyssey. Oh! What? Okay, person on a rooftop. Is this like Left 4 Dead or something? This is Left 4 Dead 2. Wrong saga. Oh, I guess I should look at this. Wait, is it adventure? No, this game is. We have not locked any of them. Shooter. Person on rooftop, arm. I can't tell if these are like zombies or something. Gas. I think this means it's not PC and 360 or adventure shooter, right? How does this work? Because it's not green? Or am I conflating with the other kind? I don't know if you can do Georgia side justice just from looking at 1-minute clips. Obviously not saying you got to watch the whole pod, but in the sections that the clips are referencing, there's tons of context that would probably clear up some confusion. This is the first time I've seen the clips instead of the 5 minutes context from the pod, and it's pretty surprising how little justice they do to the conversation. Is this from you or is this from a YouTube comment? Whoa. YouTube, of course. Okay, because I was like, damn, this seems like well-reasoned. I don't know shit about shit. This looks like, I don't know, Los Angeles or something. Is there like a zombie shooter set in Los Angeles? Is it even a zombie shooter? Give me like a PlayStation game, man. Bronto Gas. ARM. What's like a post-apocalyptic game? What is a post-apocalyptic Xbox 360 game? What about, I don't think it is this, but maybe this can give me some juice. What is Saints Row 2? Okay, brutal. It's a shooter adventure PC Microsoft Xbox 360. We just keep getting more and more people on here. I need to know what this is. Because presumably this will help me, whatever the heck it is. Like an egg sack with an arm. Gun, Bronto Gas. I'm gonna have to skip. 2 average guess attempts? Do people know this? Oh, state of something. State of Decay. Dude, people know State of Decay? People are State of Decay pilled? They get that in 2? Are you kidding me? Saints Row does have zombies, doesn't it, in the new one? And werewolves and stuff? Or like halfway through the series? I've heard of it. I saw this symbol and I knew it was State of Decay instantly. But I definitely was not getting that in 2. Yikes. Give me the guesser. And I am going to guess State of Decay. Oh, it is a single-player game. Single-player only. More recent than 2013. Could be horror, survivor, open world, sandbox, action. Could be simulator, RPG, shooter, strategy, adventure. Could be PC. Single-player PC game that is potentially first person? Or no, not necessarily. Open world, sandbox, action, survival. What if it's a game that is like simulator, RPG, adventure, strategy? Like, what about Civ 6? Just to give me some more information. Of course that's multiplayer. That's one of the dumbest guesses I've ever done. You know what? I'm going to put it out there. Don't clip this. One of the worst guesses I've ever done in my entire life. I looked at it, I said out loud the things it couldn't be, and then I guessed something that it couldn't be. I don't know what it is about this that gets me. Okay. Good news. It's not isometric. It's not third person. This is a first person single player game. What about, and it came out more recent than 2016? Oof. Presumably.
Morning, Stanz.
For PC. Good morning, Kuiper BK. Thank you for the 21 months. What if I was saying I'm first person. I'm first person PC game. Oh man, here's my issue. I don't play a lot of first person games. So let's just find a franchise. Let's just find a franchise that we can kind of lock in on. I mean, maybe is there first person survival games? What is what is the Viking game? Valheim? I know that's like first person, third person, but I'm curious. Based on years. This was 2021, before 2021, not Unity. Still action, fantasy, or open world or survival. Again, I picked a game with multiplayer. I don't know why I cannot fathom that these games have multiplayer, even though I have only played them multiplayer. Valheim's third person? I guess I knew that. I no coffee today. Something's in my blood. All right. I am playing a video game. And that video game came out between 2016 and 2021. And that video game is first person, potentially survival action. First person survival action in a 5-year period? What survival games we got? And it's got to be single player. Single player is the thing that I keep messing up on. Single player. What even is a single player survival game? So maybe we cut survival. Maybe it's just action. Single player action game. When did Oh, here's the deal. Uncharted I think has multiplayer, but I'm not positive. I think Assassin's Creed has multiplayer, but I'm not positive. What about the newest, not newest. What about like Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Is this crazy? That's literally not a first-person game, because that would be crazy to be jumping around the city in third person and think it's a first-person game. What about... Well, it's not indie, and that's huge. It's not an RPG, and that's huge. It's not strategy or simulator. Wait, so we can knock off this. We can knock off this. We can knock off... Wait, it's not adventure. It's not indie, so it's AAA. It's probably a shooter. In fact, it has to be a shooter. It's just a classic modern shooter. Oh, I wish I played a shooter. What about... Wait, Call of Duty... I don't know when these came out. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare Remastered. That was 2016, of course it was. Wrong franchise. It's multiplayer. It's multiplayer! I don't know why. I have a blind spot. I have a soft part of my brain that is just... It will not let me pick a single player game. Because I'm thinking of the campaign in COD, and I'm like, oh, that's first person. That's a shooter. I'm sure there was a version that came out in this 5-year period. But it's crazy because it is the biggest multiplayer game. It's not? What do you mean? Yeah, it's all those things. It's just the multiplayer aspect. What other views are there? Oh, it's not first person or third person or isometric? What the hell? And it's not just a shooter. It could be a shooter and something else. And it's not just an action. It's not first person. Third person. I guess it could be 2D. Is that a thing? But it's not indie. It's a AAA 2D game that's single player. What the hell is going on here? This is the most embarrassing thing of all time. I cannot believe I've done this. Okay. 2D game. That came out between 2016 and 2021. Potentially for PC. Okay. This game is multiplayer. Bro, everything is multiplayer. Every game I play is multiplayer. Literally, every game I play is multiplayer. I'm just not a single player Andy. Wait. I do play one single player game. I don't know what you would call this. Isn't this isometric? I just would like to guess something. I just would like to guess something, man. Oh, it came out in 2018. It is single player. This is bird view. Okay, never mind. That is isometric, yeah. In-house engine. We've locked nothing else. Still action. Could be action fantasy. I'm going to use my one time. I'm going to use my one time for the one time. Excuse me? It's action science fiction 2018? What? Nearly at my PC. I can save you soon. Thank you. Thank you. I need this. I need this. Action science. Okay. 2018. What was I doing in 2018? Where did I live? I probably lived in Oakland, California. No, I lived in Richmond, California. No, I lived in Oakland, California. For sure. What was I playing? Dude, I played some fucking DayZ, I think at that time. Wait. What about like a Slay the Spire? What about like a card game? I don't know what you would call it. No, it's because it's action. Action science fiction. I'm thinking like Destroy All Humans, but that's like third person. Was there like a new Destroy All Humans or something that came out in 2018? What's up, Tortellini? Chat, I'm willing to give you guys a guess. You can't know, but like, would you like to guess something? It's not... Sorry, didn't I guess turn-based earlier and it said no? Sorry, where was it? Yeah, it's not turn-based strategy. Rick and Morty VR, Hotline Miami, is that science fiction? Fortnite. Wait. No, it's third person. Prey? Didn't Prey come out in 2011? Minecraft came out way earlier. Fortnite was 17. It doesn't matter. The views are wrong for Fortnite. Fortnite, the solo game, still third person. What was the game with Big Daddy and the sisters? Oh, Bioshock. Bioshock Infinite? I like that as a guess. No, because it's first person, and you can't have a first person game. It's got to be a weird perspective. Metroid Dread, wrong year, but may confirm stuff. Metroid Dread. Oh, Cuphead. Is that science fiction? Mugman. Wait, Cuphead's kind of interesting. It's multiplayer, though. It's got co-op, so it's not that. XCOM, it's not turn-based. Domekeeper came out in 2022. It's got to be like a 2D platformer, almost assuredly, but it's not indie. That's really kind of fucking me up, too. What if it's Football Manager? It's not... It's not strategy. Dead Cells? Wouldn't that be indie? What other views? Yeah, I like the idea of it being 2D. A solo play platformer that isn't indie? Yeah, kind of. Celeste would be indie. Dead Cells is bird view? Dead Cells isn't bird view. Am I thinking of the wrong game? Dead Cells is just classic 2D, no? What about a Telltale style game? Oh, story game? But it's action, so probably not. I like the idea of doing a Metroidvania. When did Hollow Knight come out? When did Hollow Knight come out? Could it be VR? It could. Yeah, Mario Galaxy, that would be third person. Deep Rock. Deep Rock is third person. Among Us? No, single player. Dude, I was going to guess Among Us. You did what I did. You forgot about the single player. Splitgate is multiplayer. You guys are multiplayers. Again, you guys are all multiplayer Andes. I'm thinking a top-down bullet hell type game, but those are almost all indie. Yeah, they are. Super hot. Isn't that just first person, though? Even if it's VR? Dead Space? That's either first person or third person. Again, I think we need a 2D. Or platformer or something. Moonlighter? That's isometric / bird view. Was there a Mega Man game that came out in 2018? I guess I'm not Mega Man pilled enough. The only Mega Mans I really played were Battle Network games, and I liked them. Vampire Survivor would be isometric bird view. Metroid Dread, you want it? You want it? Metroid Dread. Okay, it is side view. Metroid Dread came out in 2021. It is science fiction. So we've locked that it's side view. It could be a remaster. You guys want Mega Man? Nine and 11, but no 10. I think I want to go 9 because 11 it seems like the newest. That would have come out like in the last 6 years. Oh, X. Wait. What? If X is 10, then what the fuck is X2? How is 11's here? Unless it went X, 11, X2, X3, X4. What? I'm gonna go 9. Okay, Mega Man 9 came out in 2008. But it is the correct franchise and saga. And saga? Well, then it's got to be Mega Man 11. Unless there's... Oh, no. Oh, here's more. No, there's not. Because there's no newer ones if it's in the same saga. Franchise, it could have been these X ones. That was brutal. I'm going to say it. That was brutal. That took a whole village here, and honestly, we still did really bad. Mega Man X is old as hell. I believe you. No way you would have gotten that. Yeah, I mean, eventually we would have gone side-scrollers. I think I would have guessed Hollow Knight and then gotten side view and then maybe gone somewhere. But tough. Tough for me. We got it. Only took 300 of us. Yeah. It was truly a mission. Probably never touched a Mega Man game. Mega Man Battle Network's really fun. I've played through this game, Mega Man Battle Network White, maybe 100 times. Hey there, everybody. It's like one of those things where I look at myself and go like, hey, it's kind of weird that you played this game so many times. Like, there's probably something in my brain that's a little broken. But it's so fun. It's so fun. Boom, 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 boom. I would love to play another Mega Man Battle Network, but it's illegal. I only play this one. I think they remade like a set that is on the Switch. An online competitive scene popping up? Oh, interesting. Battle Network 2 is my version of your Battle Network 1. Well, this is Battle Network 3. I've never played Battle Network 1 or 2. Was there a Battle Network 4? Mega Man Battle Network 4. Oh shit, there was. I should play this one. It probably just continues on the story. It's fun, but everything outside of the combat was a mess. Playing through the story of Mega Man Battle Network makes me understand why you guys like anime. You know what I mean? It's just like boring conversations with people. Nothing makes any sense, but I was loving it. Yeah, maybe I'll try and play through some of these on my own time just to be entertained. Does this come in the set? I might have actually bought the Mega Man Battle Network set. Let me check. No, I didn't. Hold. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. It's this, right? It's on my wish list. What does this come with? What? Package info. Ah, Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Battle Network 2, Mega Man Battle Network 3, Blue and White, 4 Sun and Moon, 5 Proto Man and Colonel, and 6, it has them all. Oh yeah, we just buy this. Here's the problem. I don't want to play it on my computer. I kind of want to play it on like Switch or something. Mega Man Battle Network speedrun. I think I could actually get Mega Man Battle Network 3 done over the course of Fast 50. For sure. Would go hard on a Steam Deck? Yeah, I don't have a Steam Deck though. What is the time? Let me check. Speed run com Network 3. There we go. What's the time? You're ready? Okay. Yeah, I mean, if these guys are pulling out 2 hours, 41 minutes, I think I'm literally only remembering what I remember. I think I'm like probably a 12-hour Andy, right? Which is just slow playing the game. Oops. I'm lost. Hold. I just want to see the run. I remember I asked for Battle Network 4 for my grandma for Christmas and didn't get it. Then when I was in college, she passed away. We were cleaning out her house and found a sealed Battle Network 4 Sun in the back of one of her cabinets. 10 years after finding it, I'm still torn because I don't want to open it, but part of me wants to because she bought it for me. That's such a sweet story. I remember when I first played it, going to the zoo zone and unironically, like, getting kind of stuck at a part because I put things in the programmer that give your Mega Man like a virus. I was stupid. I was stupid as hell. I did play it glitchless. Oh shit, what's the glitchless time? I mean, any glitches I did would be unintentional. Hold. Buster Max on, bonuses only. There's only any percent, single segment. If you're really trying to speedrun this, I remember you could go to the computer chip thing and put in a code to get the Masamune or whatever, this sword that did damage based on missing health, and you could one-shot all the bosses. That shit was cool. Where's no glitches? Am I missing something? It's just any percent. Buster Max on. Bonuses. None. Interesting. Huh. Fair enough. Only 43 players? Let's get in there. You're looking at Buster Max off, but I'm not sure what the difference is. Literally one person has ran Buster Max on. What the hell is Buster Max? Buster Max mode is a feature on the Legacy Collection. Oh, so if you're running it through like this new Steam thing, you can do Buster Max mode. Shit, I could put a time in. I could be number 2 in the world. Mega Man Battle Network 3 White. I don't know why I'm thinking that Prince Devitt's going to beat my ass. Maybe I could beat Prince Devitt.
With hip-hop.
I love his PNG tuber. I think that's sick. Oh my god, it's like... I knew when I played that... this reminds me so much of that Mario Party minigame that was so frustrating because the AI would just beat you. For some reason, these things moving like that reminded me of that when I played it. And it was one of the reasons I was so tilted.
Okay, I was trying to see which one is...
I brought trauma into the Mario Party minigame. Interesting. All right, Kansas here. Let's get it done. Let's get it done so we can play some more Trackmania. because as you maybe have seen over the last 12 hours, I'm receiving some heat for not being a speedrunner, and truthfully, I think it is fully justified. So I want to get back on my shit. I want to get back to the old me. I want to get back to my classic slothathоning, Trackmania playing, Mario Party winning, Billy Hatcher suggesting ass. So let's get this YouTube video out of the way, and let's play some games for the people. I don't even know what clip they used of me for the intro. You're a hater? Excuse me, you're a hater? I'm actually thinking of doing the Motorsport Manager F1 season win as like a 48 hourser starting Sunday morning. We'll see.
Sorry, were you replying to my message, but I couldn't hear it because now I've traveled through time?
No, I was replying to a Lumen's message.
What was the clip from? What game were you being?
Don't do this to me.
What? I'm just saying.
I have no idea. I don't know either. That's the problem.
Oh, that's insane that you don't. What's crazy is the button looks like it could be like a Balatro button, but obviously it's not because the game didn't exist when that clip was taken.
Let me check.
It's
I could tell you if I looked at it again.
House,
I just didn't.
Old House, New Room, I think, but like a weird angle.
Old House. I thought it was Old House, Old Room. Let me check. Where did it go?
Outside?
It's like a weird angle, and I can't tell what the button is that's like next to your cam to figure out what the fuck is happening. It's old either way. It's not a recent speedrunning feat, so.
Fair enough. Critical.
I'm also confused.
That's Pokemon, bro. That's Pokemon.
Oh, it's old. Okay.
That's me doing the Stanz lock, probably, right? And to be fair, not a good clip then because I did cheat.
And it's not a speed run?
It was a speed run. It just took a long time.
No, that's not. Those looks aren't speed runs, dude.
The way I played it was.
But also, we have done a ton of speedrun stuff on YouTube.
Thank you.
There's like multiple times. I only know because I've had to use the speedrun like text font for time split in so many thumbnails. If you type Stan's speedrun, there's like a couple that they could choose from. Yeah,
I literally my marble it up time is iconic, bro.
Exactly.
I'm 56th in the world.
And there's that one clip of you scoring the highest score ever in Peggle. That was great.
Chill, dude. Don't bring up everything we cheated.
Kind of related to cheating, at least tangentially.
Okay.
We made a mistake, Stans. We should talk about that.
We should talk about that.
We is not correct.
The royal we. We can be we here.
Yeah,
it went up on my YouTube channel.
We include you, chat. We made a mistake.
The three of us, me, you, and chat.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I want to give like an intro for you, for context, and for chat. Before we get into like the actual YouTube intro.
Okay.
Because the content, the things that I missed. Let's be clear, I missed it. I was cringe. I have made the mistake. I've got like a paragraph where I'm like, hey, it was me. I'm sorry. Let's try and make up for it. That I'll get onto when we get into like the actual video.
Okay.
But I'm not going to mention this in the video at all because this next thing I'm going to say, I'm not going to mention the video at all because I don't want to like cloud it with anything, because the thing we missed, trigger warning, is sexual assault. And like what George goes through in the bits of the podcast that we can see that I've gone through is not cool, fucked, and like horrible that he's gone through that. And he's clearly dealing with it in a different way, like than just straight up he's sexually assaulted me, it's his fault. So that's why he treats it differently, which is why I didn't really get the weight of it until I like looked into it myself. I didn't feel like I needed to, but also I mean I just completely missed that bit, and that's my biggest and like major mistake from the video, is them watching every single clip after then and around then without that context changes everything. So
Oh no.
it's not necessarily the bit that I'm not going to include in the YouTube video. Everything I've just said now, I'm basically going to say again for the YouTube people.
Okay.
The bit I'm not going to include is there were so many people in the fucking comments that were cringe and wrong, and they were just like, they got one nugget of "you got this wrong," and
Couldn't
I'm like,
have
hey,
been
yeah,
that
hey.
wrong if we're making a
I was
second
like,
video,
I got,
buddy.
I got it wrong. That's fair. Court, hands up. I missed a bit, but some of the comments were so fucking annoying and cringe. Like, for example, the one that Seematot did a funny meme and copied and pasted before.
That comment seems
That
reasonable.
one's-
Am I crazy?
Yeah, that one is completely valid. That's what I
Okay,
was just
got
about to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one is exactly the reason why I want to do another video, because we did miss context, and that is completely fine and valid, and I agree with them.
Okay.
There were some people that were like, bro, go and look at this YouTuber, Kavos, who is like, I don't know if you know who Kavos is, but he's known in like the British YouTuber scene as just a piece of shit grifter scumbag. He's like the British Keemstar. And he just happens to not like Logan Paul. So he made a very biased video all in in favor of George.
Sure.
That most of the points I agree with, but he blatantly like takes some things that are just not like, you can't look at the evidence and go, well, George is right in this. But he does, and he'll ignore things that aren't true. But so then people were leaving comments saying you should go look at this video because they felt like we did the opposite and we were ignoring things, but for Logan's benefit rather than for George's benefit. And I feel like we were on the wrong side of history, which is cringe. But to say go and look at this guy as like a fucking beacon of knowledge was so triggering, and I wanted to ban them all, but they were right, so I couldn't ban them all because they were saying we needed more context, and just in the same breath they were saying go and check out Kavos. But it's not my fault that they have got their knowledge from a cringe person. We are kind of what I would like us to be whenever we cover drama stuff is the non-cringe version of this fucker. And it's crazy and really annoys me that people would leave comments being like, hey, go check out this person if you want like real information.
Right.
I'm like, it just triggers me so much. So
get it out of your system. Get it out of your system, buddy.
The obvious mistake that I made is the main reason for doing this video, but also because I can't believe that people would look at our video and go, actually, this guy did it better. You should watch his thing.
Right. It felt like that was some early comments. I didn't see too many of them eventually.
Yeah, because then I pinned my comment so that people would reply to my comment.
Yeah, but people don't read comments on YouTube. They just post.
No. That's why all the comments have kept happening, Stanz. They don't show up in the YouTube studio because they're replying to my comment rather than a new comment separately. So there's a bunch of people that replied being like, you should check out Kavos.
Dude, there's a lot of Logan Paul videos.
Yeah.
I think I made too many Logan Paul videos, and I've made 4.
Right, yeah. This is around the time that we made our Logan Paul videos the first time, and he made like 8 of them.
Right.
God damn. So I recognize that background on the court lying one. That's I've used that picture for a thumbnail.
Classic.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm fine shitting on Kavos, but I don't. But the reason I'm leading with these two things is because I don't think it helps the YouTube video at all, and I don't want to like cloud or muddy the waters on my like actual sincere. I apologize. I was wrong with the missing out. I just completely missed it, and then we treated it wrong, and we were cringe. And I want that to stand in the video and not be like, however, I wasn't wrong on this, so get fucked. But I wanted you to know for context that there's I think there's still going to be people that will be like annoyed at the fact that we don't just go, oh my god, George is great, you know?
I see. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine we do that. But yeah, I mean, hey, it seems like there's some pretty big things coming up. Some pretty maybe even hard to listen to. So we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, and I've again, I'll mention this when we get started, but I've separated them into like 3 categories.
Okay.
And the last category goes into the essay. So, okay. And I think for the future, for the rest of this video, most people, I don't know if you know this, Stanz, most people online call sexual assault essay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think we'll just call it SA for now because A, it makes it better for YouTube. They won't fucking cringe our video, and it's like internet speak. Everyone knows what that is. I'm just checking that you do.
Got it. Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day that was like, YouTubers, stop doing this. It doesn't actually affect monetization. And there was like actually a lot of like discourse. I don't know if you read it. I read a lot of tweets about it. Yeah.
Ooh, you should send that to me because whenever it's like, I mean, I know you don't have it to hand, but
yeah. I'll find it or chat. Someone in chat has it. They can post it in Discord or something. Yeah, like it's about unalived and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it still matters most. I think maybe on TikTok, unless they were talking about TikTok. That's where I.
Oh, they were talking about YouTubers.
From. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, they talked about PDF file, which is that one. That one's actually crazy.
Yeah. It is funny though because when people started calling people nonces because YouTube wasn't up on like British lingo, and then they clapped down on that. So now you can't say nonce apparently. But maybe they've got back on all of it. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm open to it. All right, so today we're watching Kavos' video.
Yeah, that was what was really annoying. Was I to be clear, I did then watch all of Kavos' videos on this.
Anything interesting?
No, he just. That's why I was like, he's a piece of shit. Why are people recommending his videos? And then I watched them and I was like, oh, because he just hates Logan Paul.
That's why.
And we were favoriting. We were like in the middle. Right? We understood both sides, and I still think the situation is grey. It's just not as grey as we made it out to be originally because we missed the whole point.
Fair enough.
Was the mistake we made. The mistake wasn't that we weren't fucking just ignoring our opinions. You know, we can still have opinions, but we were forming opinions without all the
information,
facts.
Which makes it tough.
Yeah.
Spidey, thank you.
Okay, are we ready?
I'm ready. Ready as hell.
Sick. So, Stanz, we've got some drama, but this time it's us. We did a big oopsie, but it wasn't you, it was me. And the comments let us know, so we're here to correct the record.
Let's correct the record. Hey, lock me up. To be fair, you can say that you didn't oopsie, but it's like my YouTube video, my channel, so like I didn't oopsie. Even if my role is to be like guy who doesn't know anything.
Exactly.
Like, there has to be some quality control.
Know things, someone has to know, and that's me. So I'm taking responsibility, but yeah.
Fair do. Let's correct the record.
So I think.
Sorry, is correct the record like an alt-right thing? Why am I? That sounds like something in my head. I don't want to say it 2 times in an intro.
Yeah, I'll edit the second one out. I think correcting the record in general is fine, but I think people say it like it is kind of alt-righty. People do say that in response to like people that have come out like, "This is my story."
Yeah, it's like stop the count, correct the record.
The abuser responds with, "Actually, I'm going to correct the record." So yeah, maybe we should.
Okay, yeah, edit the second one out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I think we made 2 mistakes. One, not watching the full podcast from George's. Sorry. I think we made 2 mistakes. One, not watching the full podcast from George and only looking at his shorts. And 2, not addressing or talking about the essay with enough weight. And 2 is very much the main problem. And we will address it, but there's a lot to cover, and the way I've structured this video, it makes sense for it to come last.
Let's do it.
So first off, I'd like to apologize on behalf of Stanz. It's, as I said, it's my job to do the research, look into the info, and I came at the previous video that we made by starting at Logan's video and then finding context for everything that he's talking about so Stanz can fully understand what Logan's saying. When realistically, I should have done it the reverse way and looked at all of the context that George provides before then showing you Logan's video, right?
Right. Because I think part of my problem was that's the first thing I saw was like Logan just had like a random tweet that was being served to a lot of people where here's all the things. And I saw that and went like, damn, okay. Seems like something has happened here. I'd like to know more. But it was very Logan-centric.
We even acknowledge in that video that, hey, Logan isn't addressing all of the things that George has said, and he's hiding things and manipulating stuff. But at no point in me did I then go, hey, maybe I should go and watch the full podcast to see, if he is really manipulating stuff. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I think there's
That's
also the
on
context
me.
of like watching a short Logan video, like it's like 2-3 minutes. Then you're like, okay, well then I will watch George's shorts, which theoretically have millions of views because they are like the hot ones that he's just
Yes.
done. He surely like addresses these things, but then also understanding that shorts are a mechanism to get people to watch the full podcast, and that we're obviously losing additional context and not watching it.
Yeah. Um, Now, obviously, the biggest thing that we missed was the essay, and George did get sexually assaulted on the podcast with Bobby Lee. And I didn't even realize going into the first video, which then led us to not addressing it almost at all contextually or with enough weight that it needed to be addressed with.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it led to a worse video, and all of you guys quite rightfully saying, hey, you missed the mark. So we did, and we are very sorry. Now, Stanz, that's not to say the previous video's points were all completely wrong. I still think this situation has a lot more gray in it than just black and white. It's not like Logan's the worst. No, George is the worst. So I'm curious to see your opinion at the end of this video.
Okay. I am too.
So let's break down every point that George and Logan made in their respective podcasts with full context from George included. Sorry, I'm just rethinking the because the gray area part is not related to the essay, but talking about the essay and then going into the gray area bit, I'm like, that
Cut it.
probably makes it sound like that.
Cut it, baby.
We don't
Those
even
were
need to
Bobby
mention the
Lee's
gray,
real
you know?
balls. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah, I just don't want anyone to misconstrue my my own thoughts and beliefs. That's like one of my fucking worst nightmares, is me saying something that I'm like, I know exactly what I'm saying, and someone's like, well, actually, you said this, and I didn't.
Yeah. Welcome to the internet, buddy.
Okay. All of these points fall into 3 categories. So let's start with the least important, business.
This is like the $10,000 a month to be on the podcast stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. All of the basically, this is the bulk of what Logan had an issue with. It seems to be the catalyst for Logan even making this video. I think if George was like, "Hey, Logan's a bad friend," this video wouldn't have been made, because I don't think Logan really cares about that. I think he was just like, "Well, actually,"
I mean,
the
based on the
stats.
way he talked to George and everyone, like it doesn't seem like he values friendship in the same way at all. Where like the
Exactly.
things he was saying, the things he was texting him were just like, to be fair, he did invite him to the movies and stuff, but it was just mean spirited. And I was like, ugh, I don't think I would want to be friends.
So let's move to the first point. Not making 5K, not enough for 10K books. So we will watch George's clip about how much money he made on the podcast and how much expenses that he had from doing the podcast in full. And all of these should be timestamped.
Perfect.
But you might have to unmute every clip, unfortunately,
No
if
worries,
you
no
started
worries.
off with muted on the first one, but we'll see.
The reason I was hurt was because I was always the one that was there. I was
Do you know
always
what
the
the
one
last
standing
straw
up
for me
for
was? The last straw for me was, Mike, I had to escape. I had to leave from my own fear. When Logan came after me for my religion, the show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month, and that's covering just Reed. I have a mortgage. I have my sister that works for me.
Covering just Reed. Sorry, what is Reed?
The producer that runs this podcast.
Got
so at the time that he was getting paid 5K, it's really important for timeline wise, because when he initially said this, I assumed that he was talking about like early on in the podcast, and then they started to make money afterwards, when in reality they were making a lot of money at the front end of the podcast, and the 5K is later on down the line. So his money decreased over time, and he was like, bro, I'm trying to make this podcast. I'm trying to run a podcast on my own end, and I've got so many things that I have to deal with, and I'm getting 5K a month, which in LA, that's not a lot of money. And especially if you've been living on a previous amount of money's lifestyle, right?
Right. Okay, and he's using that money that he's getting from Impulsive to pay his producer to do his show.
Yes.
It seems like what he's saying. And so that's
so
gone.
the 10K on the books that he's about to go into is all these things that he's listing are like equating to that 10K. It does get a little bit muddy though, and we'll get into why.
Okay.
have Belle. I'm trying to get married. I had all these things. So I had to start my own show because we're not making money on this show, and I'm getting pushed out of this show.
Well, at the time, we weren't making money. You made money on the show.
But at the time, we're a couple months.
How much money did you make over the course
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
Right.
Name me a job that you're...
Right, Mike, ask him a question. Isn't that I feel like...
Yeah. And then George specifies here, because I didn't want to take the previous bit and like misconstrue it. He doubles down on exactly what he says. So go back do a 5-second little back bit and listen to his full thing.
Copy.
Spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
Right.
Name me a job that you're a part of that you spend $10,000 to be a part of. Okay, so that's 1. 2, and by the way, let's not forget that for a year
you were right there for Mike's zero rebuttal. He just laughs, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways that you can take that, and I'm confused at both. One is that it's actually costing him $10,000 a month to be on the show, which is crazy, and Logan seems to refute that in his video. Or you can take it as the 10K is how much it takes for him to just live, right? Like he's paying 5K for a producer, he's got a wedding to pay for, he's got his wife and his partner, all this.
But it would be a little disingenuous to say it was costing him that to be on the show, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm confused at, because he's saying in one breath he lists all the things that he has to pay for in his real life, and
which are all separate from the show. Yeah, he hasn't mentioned one thing about Impulsive.
Yeah. And then he says it's costing him 10 G's to be on the show. So I've seen a lot of people say that him saying it costs him 10 G's is him listing off all the costs and expenses he has in his real life. I don't think that's what he's saying here, right? He's saying that is the cost it takes to be on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would believe it. We talked about it in the last video, but things like travel, things like bringing guests in. And there were things that, like, Logan's accountant theoretically said, like, hey, it was $22,000 for those things. Cost of being on the show. I would definitely love a little clarification from George here, because I don't get it.
Right, and there isn't any clarification. The only thing we can do is go on Logan's response to this specific comment, which we have already seen, but for context, we will go through everything today.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's good too.
As well as having his own credit card, all expenses related to the show were paid for, including all travel and lodging. Obviously, George's total reimbursement came out to $20,000.
$20,000. And he says the number wrong, which is so Logan built.
Yeah, he says 17 cents instead of $317.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I just think it's funny.
But that is the amount that he's saying was paid in expenses, and George was saying it was $10,000 a month. That is. Right. I don't know another way you can take these 2 instances. It feels like it's like a he said, she said for most of this, because as we pointed out in the last video, this is just a text message. I could make this and just name someone Sam Accountant, it's not even, so there's not much like proof really, but to me it makes more sense that he would have been, that Logan's side makes more sense to me, that he's paid $20,000 in expenses.
I completely agree. There are some like extraneous things, like for example, you have a guest come on your podcast and maybe afterwards you want to go out to like a fancy dinner or things like that. Maybe you're trying to meet people. I don't know. I can't imagine it's like up to $10,000 a month. I'm just trying to think of things that George could be talking about. And when things he mentions are his life things, his producer for his podcast, getting married and stuff, it makes me think that that's like the money he's talking about. But it'd be very easy to...
He's referring to his life that he's living, costing that much, and he's saying how he wasn't getting paid enough to live his life. That's a very fair and valid point. I completely
and a
agree
reason
with
to
that
leave the podcast or do your own thing. It's like my expenses are $10,000 a month. I am making $5,000 a month. I have to make up that $5,000 somewhere.
Yes, I completely agree. But it doesn't seem like that's the point he's trying to make. But if that is his point, then I agree with him. George should have left the podcast. He wasn't making enough. And it is crazy for Logan to be making as much money as he does to only pay one of the core 3 people of his podcast $5K when he's living in LA. That people say $5K a month is a lot of money, and it is. But in LA, that doesn't go very far at all.
Yeah, it's like, $60,000 a year pre-taxes. It's roommate money. You could live here. You got to have roommates. You got to do other stuff there. But if that's all that George has, that would be tough with like a wife and stuff like that. I want to read a comment from the chat really quick that says, complaining that your job doesn't pay enough to cover your other business's employees is kind of weird. It's like the landlord paradigm. Like your renters don't pay you and you're like, well, now I can't pay the mortgage. And it's like, wait, what? You're not even working.
he's like, I'm not getting paid enough to pay the person. Like he's giving the 5K that he's complaining about to the producer that he's paying. Like, as in, I understand the narrative of now he has no money to pay anyone, but like you can't complain about that living wage because you are paying someone else that same wage in the same place. Right?
Yeah. 5K is more than 60,000 a year. Sorry, did I do my math wrong? Isn't 5K $60,000 a year?
I'm not good at maths.
Did I beans it? Yeah, it's 60,
No,
and then
I
taxes.
think you
Yeah,
got
we're
it.
good. I will say, I don't know how many episodes George does a month, but I feel like 5K a month for the producer. That's good for him. That
For the
kid's
producer,
cooking.
yeah, I think it's once a week.
Okay.
But and he will do a lot of like research things behind the scenes and stuff, and he's a co-host on quite a few episodes when they don't have a guest. So I think the producer's doing quite a bit. But for the first, for like the start of the podcast, for sure, that's doing well.
Yeah, completely.
Anyway, one thing we forgot in the last video, or I say forgot, I didn't know. Logan lives in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Did you
we've
know?
talked about this before.
For
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah,
He's
and
doing his
he-
little tax exemption.
Sorry,
shit.
he lives in Puerto Rico. Didn't he like sneak out on a boat? Isn't that what they all do? They fly in, so
Oh,
that
I
there's a
have no
flight log.
idea.
Yeah, here's the Puerto Rican scam. If you guys don't know it, you fly in, so there is a flight log, and then you illegally leave the country by boat without telling anyone, and then you go back by boat and fly out, so it looks like you've lived there for long enough that you can do taxes there, but really you're just living in Los Angeles.
Oh, I am 90% sure that he is living there. Hey, it could be that he's doing the tax thing, but I think that all of the shots of like his house and stuff that they used to shoot Impulsive in, I think that is actually in Puerto Rico.
They're flying to Puerto Rico every week to do
That's
the
why
podcast?
a lot of people were saying the expenses are so high because George is flying to Puerto Rico every week.
It's true.
And I was
George
like,
has a
I
point
have
to stand on.
to
It's
mention
crazy.
it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
Because if that is true, then the 10 Gs could be real.
Yeah.
That's we don't really know if he's doing the little taxi scam thing. I think he probably is.
I might
but-
be conflating. I actually don't know shit about taxes. I don't know why I said it. I think there is an island that people do that with, and maybe it's not Puerto
Yes.
Rico. Yeah.
So either way, it's either crazy and maybe it's real, maybe it's not. What
Dude,
I'm
it's
saying is that
meals, $200. Like podcast guests, $500. Flying to Puerto Rico every week, $10,000. How do I balance my
where's
podcast
all
budget?
my money going? Someone
Yeah.
with a budget, help me. Yeah.
So funny.
So yeah, I think this is a lot more like there isn't really much proof on either end, and I think for George's example, he's not even really trying to say like he's not having a go at Logan Paul because Logan Paul's not even on the fucking podcast. He's just saying I couldn't afford to start my own thing, so I had to leave the other podcast and focus on my life here. It's like his reason for doing it rather than him being like I'm bringing this up because I hate Logan Paul.
Right. Yeah, he's like, he had umbrage with it. His life wasn't going the direction he wanted, which he has brought up a couple times. And so it's like, let's make a change, which is admirable.
Yeah. Okay, if you go back to the podcast, and it should be, let me, can I see? Yeah, if you literally press back arrow once and then play, we are good for the next point.
Copy.
And $10,000 to do that. Okay, so that's one. Two, and by the way, let's not forget that for a year and a half, I didn't get paid.
Uh-huh.
No, and I didn't get paid for years.
Okay.
Until I got paid.
Okay, so
right.
let's just make sure that-
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the
What would
way,
you say, like,
always grateful. I was always
Something
grateful.
like
for it. Yeah, I don't like to talk about money, but I was
Sorry.
always grateful. Always
Oh,
grateful.
Jose,
he says the
that
number,
point's so fucking funny. He's
Yeah.
talked about money for a good like 2 minutes, and then goes, "I don't want to talk about money."
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't showing the screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Listen to my face. I apologize. Thank you. Fucking T-tours me, chat. Come on, get in. I need you.
There wasn't any details. Yeah, they're so like engaged in our speech.
Yeah.
If he doesn't even remember he's streaming.
I
That's
don't.
not- someone just tell him. Someone
I'm
tell him
doing
that he's on the
journalism
right
here. I'm trying to research. I'm actually trying to decipher George's mind, and I'm
Exactly.
struggling.
If you go back to 4910,
Yeah, you got
and we'll
it,
play it just for the video's sake.
just for the video's sake, pretend like you haven't heard this, chat. Okay, well now everyone's gonna see full screen Andy on there. I want to talk about money when it makes me look good, but not when it makes me look bad. Yeah, that's like the problem here, right? Okay, we're gonna watch it.
Two, and by the way, let's not forget that for a year and a half, I didn't get paid.
No, and I didn't get paid for years.
Okay.
Until I got paid.
Okay, so
right.
let's just
But
make
you
sure
did. But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the
What would
way,
you say,
always grateful. I was always
Something
grateful.
like
for it. I don't like to talk about money, but I was
sorry.
always grateful. Always.
Dude, Mike is so unintentionally funny in these 20 seconds of everything that's happened.
He's hilarious. Especially the that clip of him going, "I'm just trying to figure out if it was what I did," you know, to piss you off. No, so I find this funny because he's just talked about money for like 2 minutes, and then when Mike brings up how much he's actually made, he's like, "Whoa, let's not talk about money."
Right.
Let's talk
Presumably
about
that number is
numbers.
very high, and it would like hurt the
Yeah.
argument, I think is what happens.
I'm going to assume the number is probably the number that Logan says. I don't think they're disagreeing with each other necessarily. I think it's more the angle of which he's bringing it up, right? George says for a year and a half he didn't get paid. That's true because he worked on Logan Paul's podcast for Impulsive for 3 years, roughly.
Okay.
And in Logan Paul's own response video, he shows how much money he's
like
made. But in doing so, if you press play to the screenshot,
Talk about money.
I know he doesn't want to talk money. I know he believes it out, but George made $317,000.
right, pause there. In 15 months. So this
Right.
shows
It's a
the
year and
amount
a
of
half.
money that he's made
Yeah.
for the year and a half. Well, he was on the show for like 3 years. So there was a year and a half where he didn't get paid. And
Which is
wasn't
insane, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for a second he was reimbursed for that in December when he got paid $30,000, which is an insane amount of money. But I noticed December, the next one, he got paid
ad rates.
$45,000.
Although it's
Yeah.
crazy their November was so light, but yeah. I guess, you get paid in December for November, I assume is the way they do their accounting here.
Yes, I think so. So that kind of explains why, if you look in February, he got paid $5,000, which explains the reference George is making. He wasn't. I can understand you could take George as saying we would get paid $5,000 a month. George is meaning in a one-time instance, and he was like, then I couldn't pay for things in my life. Whereas Logan took it as you weren't getting paid $5,000 a month. Look at the fucking other money that you're making, right?
Did anyone hear that and think that he meant 1 month out of 12 he made $5,000? I feel like that's a stretch.
Oh, no. So, again, what I'm saying is I think Logan's taking it from the blanket of... like, when you hear that, you're going to think that Impulsive is not paying people as
That's what I'm
much
saying,
as they
because George is
actually
like, we were making $5,000 a month. And I'm looking at this and going like, wait, what? Like, looking at all of this data and saying 5,000, like, I think that I would say, hey, you were making about $15,000 a month. Yeah, actually,
Completely
more with your
agree.
average. $18,000 a month.
But what I'm saying is I don't think George's point was that he was making... his point wasn't that this is what he was making every month or whatever. He wasn't even trying to be like, I wasn't getting paid enough by Logan and Logan needs to pay me more and blah, blah, blah. He was just like, in that month, I was like, but I need to figure out another way to live like my life. So that was one of the factors that ended up making him leave the podcast. He was saying it from a leave the podcast standpoint. He wasn't saying it to like muddy the waters on Logan's like how much he pays his people vibes.
Right. I just feel like again, this is only me, but if I made only $5,000 in February, I would have the memory to think that like, hey, there's good times coming in March. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be too worried about it unless the podcast's viewership was like hemorrhaging or something like that.
Yeah. Well, what we will get into is there were so many other things that led to that. This was like the tiniest part of his reason for leaving.
Yeah, this is just the business aspect, which we've talked about a little bit.
I think because again, this is towards the start of Logan. This is towards the start of George and Mike talking about why they ended up leaving, and this is basically them talking for the first time since leaving the podcast. So they're slowly getting into the emotional stuff, and they're starting off by talking about the money side, which is easier to talk about.
And it's a shared experience because they are both non-Logan Paul members of the Logan Paul podcast. Impulsive.
Yes. So they're talking about they're avoiding talking about their feelings by talking about the money first. And from watching the full thing, George's like points aren't really anything to do with the money. He didn't care about that. He honestly is really upset and annoyed at how his friends treated him.
Right? It seemed like he brought that up so many times.
Yes. Yeah. So we will get onto those bits, but I think I'm structuring this video from like business into like different categories because in the last video we were like, I think because of Logan's emphasis on the business side, it made us put more weight on the business side and make it seem like that was George's point.
Right.
And I think George's point throughout this was the business was like an aside thing. He was mentioning these to talk about other things.
Right.
Right. Okay, the other big point under business, George taking a Celsius deal, and Prime being an issue with that.
Right.
There's a lot of he said, she said in all of this. We will watch all of George's take first, and then see Logan's response.
Yeah. Hey, I remember Logan's response, but it'll be nice to see what George had to say.
Anybody could see that. But when I got pushed out, and I'm seeing that I'm getting pushed out, and I start my own show, do you know what my final straw was?
What?
I got my show going, and then
This is, I know that we're doing this video because we didn't give George the time of day, but this is like his 17th final straw, which is like, it's
think
not.
we've
They were
heard
at the
that
final
line
straw. They were just
before.
straws. They were straws,
There were lots
straws,
of
and then it was a
straws.
final straw.
Yeah.
not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. And I'm saying, hey, man, you can't tell me what to do on my own show. That's not okay.
What's that about?
He told me that I couldn't take Celsius. And then I said, hey,
He
man.
didn't tell you that you couldn't
I
take
have text
Celsius.
messages.
No,
Oh.
he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. He says
Okay, Mike's back because when we first watched Mike a bunch of clips, he was actually pushing back on things and asking questions. So far, Mike has been a bit of a yes man in these clips from the podcast, but
Yeah,
him
well-
just going like, that's not true.
He basically he does say that though. It's crazy. I don't understand how it works in any of these people's brains because they keep on saying things and I'm like they don't understand. I don't know. Let's just press play and then
Sure.
we'll try and decipher that.
Yeah, let's see. Let's give him the time of day.
Hey,
he
man,
didn't tell you that you couldn't
I have
take
text
Celsius.
messages.
No, he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. He
says if I take Celsius, I'm not a part of Impulsive.
Then he told you that if you take Celsius, that you cannot continue to be on Impulsive, which is the core driver for Prime, as you're going to continue to funnel viewership from the Impulsive show back to your show, which promotes a competitive product.
Yeah.
He also told you
Right,
that
pause
if
there.
you wait 6 months,
Yeah.
That's exactly what George said, right? He said you can't be on Impulsive if you take the deal. And Mike goes, no, you can't be on Impulsive if you take the deal. And then goes, because Prime's a competitor. But it's like, yeah, but obviously that's the reason. You're still saying the same thing, though.
No, I actually think it's minute, but it is very different. One is George is saying Logan said I'm not allowed to have Celsius on the podcast, and that is just untrue. Logan is like, you can have Celsius on your podcast, but you can't be on this podcast. It's like, go ahead. I'm not telling you what to do on your show.
Yeah,
but I
or
have
you're
to make
off the
changes
show.
on my show.
That's,
yeah.
It's exactly what George said.
No,
but-
George said he was dictating my show, which I think that's like
Yeah.
so different.
I'm saying that I am completely on board with. I think this one makes complete sense that Logan wouldn't want George promoting Celsius on a different podcast. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think it's funny that George would say, he said, if I took Celsius, I'd be off the podcast. And then
Yeah.
Mike goes, no, he said if you take Celsius,
and I
you'd be
think
off the
that
podcast.
happened like in the middle of all this because he was controlling my show, and Mike's like, no, and then he's like, well, he said I'd be off the podcast, and then Mike was continuing his thought with no, but yeah, the truth is yes, he was going to get kicked off Impulsive for the period he was doing.
Yeah,
Celsius.
the reasoning of why Logan wouldn't want someone on their podcast promoting something else, obviously you'd have to be a moron to not think, yeah, no shit,
yeah,
right?
tracks. Especially
Yeah.
when it is like a interview podcast, he is like a guest on. It's not only. I think it'd be slightly different, for example, if I got a Celsius sponsorship and Ludwig is sponsored by Red Bull and we do unpaid intern together, because like the mechanism is different. Like I'm a streamer, I'm a human being, I make other kinds of videos, but these are like
Yes.
two podcasters that also share a podcast. You know what I mean? That now has a competing.
Yeah, a
product.
lot of George's early episodes were like kind of addressing things that he had talked about on Impulsive, but like on his own podcast. So it was literally like, it was almost like an after show kind of
Like a
vibe
Patreon
with just
exclusive.
one of the,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
here's my
or like
thoughts
a spin-off show kind of like like one of the main characters from a previous show has gone off and made his own show, and you can watch that as like an extra thing. And it would be crazy if, like, in that show, they made, like, one of the characters, like, I don't know, Sheldon, like, a Sigma in one of them, but then he wasn't a Sigma in the other one.
And
It
he
would
was
be,
like a beta
changing
when he
the-
grew up, and I didn't get it. How did he
Yeah.
turn beta? Yeah.
Let me check. We haven't missed anything here.
Someone in chat. This is actually the same person who had the other good comment. Is Dexland actually? Did he riz up Livy? Is he like a #1 commenter? It's like Slime starting his own podcast to promote competing bidets. Yeah, it'd be that would be like a perfect analogy.
And I think that's stupid enough that Ludwig would probably be okay with it because that would be an insane thing. But it is similar semantics, but like in a different context.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. We do need to keep on playing because we need to hear George's deal that he mentions with Prime.
Okay. Let's do it.
Months after the deal's done, you're more than welcome to rejoin the show if you need to make money.
But they're always trying to find a way to push me out.
I don't.
You know what he told me? When I told
think
you know what I told
was,
hold on,
I think that was
this
a
is
fair...
a guy who's this is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making. Okay, and on top of that, we never got any money from Prime, and we own that show. So technically, we should have gotten a percentage of that.
Pause for a second.
I never.
I don't know what we're at. He said something there that we're gonna go over later on, so we don't need to talk about it now.
Yeah, he said they didn't get any money from Prime, which is crazy because I've watched that show and there's 17,000 Prime bottles around the set.
That's true. That's never addressed, and Logan never brings that up. They didn't make any money from Prime, but also were like an owning percentage of the show itself.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
crazy.
absolutely absurd. And George and Mike both deserved a cut from that because there's Prime everywhere. They're shilling so unbelievably hard.
Yeah, that is context for what George is about to say about the deal. He basically used him and Mike actually used Celsius to try and leverage a deal with Prime, which is crazy that they have to do that because they're on a podcast with a guy that owns Prime.
And you think your buddy would want to
leverage a fucking deal? You're friends, bro. Hook a brother up, exactly.
Yeah. Especially when your friend is like uber rich, you know what I mean? Where it's like, sure, we'll just at minimum we'll pay you like the rate we pay other podcasts or things to use Prime. If not more.
If you skip to 5:15, you'll hear the context of the
55:15?
51:15. Sorry.
Oh, 51. Okay.
I missed a.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
I missed a number.
Make sure.
I get that call and I tell him, I go, Logan, I get it, bro. And I fully told him, I go, listen, man, like, I will take half the deal that Celsius gives me. Half. If you want to put it on the table for my show, a quarter, work with me. He says,
Damn, that honestly,
that's
he shouldn't
crazy.
have to do that, but that is very reasonable as like, hey, let's work things out.
I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me. And then I said, well, what do you want me to do for my bills, bro? I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
Listen,
that's fighting words, bro. Look at me.
No,
that's fighting words, bro. You don't bring up somebody's father.
So we can pause there.
Is his dad rich? Can we get some context in that?
Yeah, he doesn't deny that, so I'm just going to assume yes. A lot of the times they'll talk about something and then Mike will respond with something that's kind of not related, and then they'll slowly spiral into a different conversation. So there's no real rebuttal to that. So just for context.
Got it.
So this is going to go into a whole he said, she said, because if we look at Logan's response to this, he not only does he not mention that this was kind of like a leveraging thing, he says it's a completely different story than what George has said. So we'll watch Logan's thing and then we can talk about both.
Got it.
I got my show going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. He told me that I couldn't take Celsius.
So this is the big one. Making calls, trying to make it seem like I wanted to control his show is absolutely ridiculous. As you can see right here, I was like, hey, we got to get you Prime because I saw him drinking our competitor, and he told me to call him. He was filming my reaction to tell me he took a deal with a competitor. I told him, please don't film. Like, I'd like to talk about this. I hope you're joking, by the way. The truth is, I thought it was a bad look that my best friend and co-host took a brand deal with our competitor.
Man, you forget that he keeps calling him his best friend. This does not seem like people who are even friendly.
Bro, he's not his best friend. No.
Yeah, and thinking about like, hey man, you want to see John Wick? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Without consulting me, asking me, giving us even a chance to match it before he signed the deal, because the audience that he's building, at least at the time, on his own podcast was being funneled directly from the podcast that I was building with him.
So he said he did not give us a chance to match or create a competitive deal. Now, match is crazy because George just said he offered to do half or even a quarter rate. Yeah.
So what the wording from Logan here makes me think he's weasel wording because
Right,
he says
before he signed the contract.
he
Yeah,
signed
yeah.
the deal, which a lot of times I know you're not supposed to sign the actual contract, but a lot of times people will take like a proposed contract and use that to shop around a better deal from other people, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And Logan, so I keep on, they're all fucking the same person in my brain. Mike even says that in this podcast that he did the exact same thing. He got a deal with Celsius and used that to shop a better deal with Prime from Logan.
Right.
So he didn't take the deal, and he ended up getting none of the deals, which is also crazy.
Wait, Mike got no deal? No Celsius, no Prime?
Mike got no deal. We'll get onto that, I think, a bit later on.
What the hell?
Oh, yeah, if you go to, in the George podcast, if you go to 1 hour 49.
1 hour 49. What the heck? Okay.
Oh,
Does that
sorry.
make- does
1
that-
hour and 49 seconds.
Bro.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Bro.
I saw you go so far. I can't see numbers.
That's
It's
why I
just
was thinking,
one
like, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. Corby, thank you for the raid.
This assumption about evil on my part, bro, because I called Celsius.
I feel like Mike just wants his friends to be friends. He's always just like,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
me? It's the Ludwig to Destiny thing where he's like, why you say fuck me?
to get a competitive deal to try to shop it.
do a go
Yeah,
back. Do a go back.
Go back.
No,
like-
but I'm telling you, there was a misassumption about evil on my part, bro, because I called Celsius to get a competitive deal to try to shop it to Prime. That's all I did. And I got nothing. By the way, I don't have Celsius or Prime. You know what I'm saying? So like it didn't clearly I'm the fucking loser.
Them loving him and him saying I'm the fucking loser is very
Yeah.
funny.
How do you bungle that bag? I don't get it.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So I think it's more that Logan didn't want to give either of them anything to do with Prime.
Yeah.
And they aren't getting a percentage of Prime and weren't when they're on the podcast. That is the Prime, if you pardon the pun, the Prime fucking what's the word? Funneler of Prime. It's the Prime funneler of Primes.
This is what the fuck are we talking about? I'm confused.
The
now.
podcast is like the main pushing forward force, like promotion is the main
Sure.
promoter of Prime.
Is that even true compared to like just Logan Paul in general or the sports leagues or anything
Well,
like that?
Logan Paul. The only thing that he does is the
Impulsive
podcast
right now?
online.
Got it.
Like he sometimes makes YouTube videos.
Mhm.
He's mainly just doing WWE shit.
Got it. Yeah.
But like his thing that he's been consistent with is his podcast. That is kind of like his thing.
Got
It
it.
used to be that he was like the vlogs guy for a bit. Now he's like the podcast guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now I'm not. It's the main like promoter of it, as in it's in every single thing, and he's always holding a Prime. He himself is the main promoter,
Right.
but then by proxy, Impulsive is fucking
Yeah. It's a big driver of Prime. Yeah.
yes.
I know they're like sponsoring sports leagues and stuff, and so when I hear that that's like the biggest driver, I'm like, ooh, is he?
Oh no! And
exaggerating?
I'm
Yeah.
talking about when George was on the podcast. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about like current Prime. Prime's gone crazy, but
Fair.
like early days, they weren't making anything, and it was like the only promotion was really that Logan and KSI have the thing. So
Right.
anything they're on is like their main promoters.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Also, going back to Logan's response to that,
Mhm.
he kind of shows his own. He shows his motives for making this video in talking about it at the start. If you click the link again, it will jump to the right timestamp.
I got my show going, and then not only was I
for
controlled
him
and
to say
pushed
and then
around
close
on
it.
Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. He told me that I couldn't take Celsius.
So this is the big one. Making calls, trying to make it seem
Can
like
I'm sorry, I'm gonna listen to this again because I have to just say that like the editing, the filmmaking, his head popping from left to right, going half frame. I
Yeah.
fucking love it. I love it.
Pause after him saying this is the big one then.
Got it.
And then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. He told me that I couldn't take Celsius.
So this is the big one.
Okay.
This is the big one is crazy because it's not the big one, especially like watching the whole podcast. They barely care about this. It is all to do with the fact that George feels like his friends have like abandoned him.
Right. And we've brought it up before that it feels like Logan Paul is extremely business pilled. Like even some of the things he says at the end of this is like, it's just business. Like, get your bag. We'll figure it out. We can still be friends. Let's go watch a movie together. He sees this so very differently than George sees this that it's going to be hard for them to see eye to eye no matter what, because they're like disagreeing on the parameters of the friendship versus business.
Yeah, and it's also, to me, the biggest slam dunk against George, being like, no shit, that obviously you can't go and promote a different brand on your own podcast when you're promoting one brand on the bigger podcast. That I understand why they couldn't be on the same show, but promoting those different things, that makes sense to me. And I think Logan's in the right just blankly on that. But then when you get into the ins and outs of whose story is real, who pitched, who didn't, who was was George really saying he was going to take a quarter? Did he say nothing? And was Logan in the right? Like, that's a bit muddier. But the initial concept is like, yeah, I understand why they couldn't be on the podcast together. So Logan saying this is the big one is like, oh, this is the slam dunk because it's easy for me. It's not the big one because George gives a shit about it. George didn't care about this, bro. He was like,
right. After watching the podcast, you now know that, yeah, it was just something.
Yeah, it was a passing thing for him to talk to Mike about their relationship.
Yeah. To speak on George's behalf, I do think, separate from like the drama, separate from the friendship and stuff, like as a business, as a podcast, this is a big one. And if they were not being cut in on anything for Prime, and he was saying, like, if you do Celsius on your show, it is like, yeah, that is hugely restricted.
It's a big one, but the opposite. It's a big one for George, not
Logan. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is fucked. And so it depends. And if he said, like, I will take half, all those details need to be hashed out because they all change the story so much. And it could make me see George is, like, very much in the right on this big one.
Yeah, a lot of the previous points have been, like, it could go either way. This one, like, the context completely changes. Yeah. Like, who's right? Okay, and that honestly that's it for business.
Okay.
There was a few points that Logan still makes that relates to the next category we're going to talk about, which is friends. Because he does say, wow, you know, we were best friends. He mentions that a lot. But this is George's main point. Now, I want to say before going into this, to give you some context, George, basically everything that happened, George didn't want to happen. And he says a lot. We will go through, I think there's like 4 examples here of all the times that George was like, I have nothing but good things about like my time on the show, and I respect Logan, and I don't hate him, and I don't want this to be clipped out of context. There's so many like instances, so we'll go through all of them.
I don't know why I'm like defending us when like I don't know shit about this and you're the one that had to apologize, sucker. But like he made those clips. You know what I mean? Like the clips that we watched were made
up making
by him
those
for
clips
his
for sure because they don't give the full weight and context. It's like drama baiting, but it's on his own fucking channel. So why did you make them?
He's a little spicy clips. There's some spicy clips. Yeah.
Okay. This is the start of them talking about Impulsive. This is how he leads into everything we've seen previously from his podcast.
Got it.
Again, like as much as like people want to think that I'm angry at Logan, he gave me a lot to live by. And he told me, he goes, when you have a podcast, be authentic, talk real, and then you'll watch yourself grow. Yeah. So when I just started talking passionately about what I hold behind closed doors, I just became more authentic. Me and you talked about Jesus every day behind closed doors. I just never talked about it online because I thought it was cringe and weird, and I didn't want people to get pushed away. But that was my fear, that the devil kept whispering in my ear. So that's why I sit here and I'm telling you, bro, tell the devil to go kick rocks barefoot. Like, don't let him get in.
There.
Sure.
He's using Logan as an example of like someone that gave him really good advice.
Yeah, and personal growth, and is the reason he is where he is. Because I think there's like undertones of like the business aspect of it too, right? Of like, hey, I wouldn't be here without him. I'm so grateful for all these experiences.
Yeah. George even takes responsibility for some of the issues that we had with him originally on the podcast. You know, the old clips that we looked up and we were kind of like, George isn't helping himself.
Yeah.
George is it takes responsibility in this.
Any relationship. If I can't take responsibility and fix myself before even looking at your problems, like then I'm just not a good human, because half of my issues with you probably stemmed from my behavior. The way I communicate, the way that I talk, the way I act, the way that I respond to my neighbors, they're going to respond to me in a certain way. When I asked God to help me out with a lot of my relationships, the first thing he told me to do is fix myself.
Yeah.
That way I could have a conversation with Mike and not act like an idiot or get emotional.
Right.
Because I'm not scared
I
anymore.
also just didn't.
Pause there. 'Cause
Yeah.
Well, you can press play just for the comedic aspect, because this is the famous Mike line that's really funny.
I also just really didn't get it. I really didn't get it, dude. Like, I honestly did not understand why you and I were not talking. Like,
Oh
like,
no,
I got-
you said it before. Sorry, I thought that
bummer.
was the one. It's not the one. We missed it. My bad.
No worries. This does seem like very. Sorry, I paused on him picking his nose. It was not my intention. But it is like a very nice self growth that, like, hey, realizing that maybe some of the problems in your life stem from you and the way you act. And what he goes into, he kind of mentions it offhand, but like fear of who he is, fear of how people are going to see him, and like pushing through that so that you can have more realistic or healthy relationships with people is a cool thing.
Yeah, and being able to be like, I'm not like, I didn't want to talk about this before because I knew I needed to fix myself first, and now he has. He's like, I'm ready to talk about it. I think it's very healthy. Here is George again. Relates that he's partly responsible, but goes over the reasons why he was put in that position.
The reason I wanted to have it with you, and you know what, bro? You're right. I first, before I even like go vent anymore, like I gotta take responsibilities, bro. I was not as mature as I am right now. I was leading off of fear and my emotions, which, remember, these are my friends, which I find to be like family, and it's tied in with my finance, bro. This is all of my life.
Nasty work.
This is all of my life,
yeah.
and I'm feeling like I'm being pushed out of it. So, like, I acted out of fear, but I guess what I have to say is I'm sorry for grouping you in, and I'm sorry that I wasn't man enough to just sit you down and express how I'm expressing now. But now I have confidence. Now I could stand on my own show. I have my own finance. I have my own fiance. I have my own life.
Right.
That's why when I sit here and have these conversations with you, this is the best version of me because I went through the fire. I want to sit with you and say, bro, like, you think that you're done growing. You're not. You have so much more to give, because those moments that we would have in the hotel rooms by ourselves, those were us. You saw the version
Cool, so
of
we
me
can
that
pause
everybody's...
there. I think this shows that he is... like, he's relating everything that they're talking about to Mike. It's not even necessarily supposed to be about Logan. It's just the fact that they were on the podcast with Logan, right?
Right. Yeah, he hasn't mentioned Logan, besides saying that, like, he was grateful for that advice. The rest of it has been just about how insecure he felt about himself, growing in confidence, wishing he could go back and address things with Mike as a more mature person than, like, who he was at that time. He hasn't, from what I've seen, he has not brought up Logan once, and is just talking about how grateful he is for the experience.
Yeah. And then he says, in 2 instances, he says that he would like to have this same conversation that he's having with Mike, but with Logan himself, because he's not here to represent himself.
It's like, how do we continue? How do we make amends for, you know, what happened, and drive the larger conversation, which is between you and Logan? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I already told him behind closed doors, we'll handle that. Like, that's between me and him. And like, when the time's right and it's ready, we'll have that conversation. The reason I wanted to have it with you, and you know what, bro? You're right. I first, before I even like go vent anymore.
Okay, pause there. And then here's the second instance. This is like at the end of, they realize they should stop talking about the Logan stuff, I think.
And even with all the bullshit, bro, like, without that friendship, there's places that he would be different in his life, and there's places you would be different in your life.
Oh, dude, I still give all the credit. I kind of want to pivot from this just because, like, like, it's unfair to talk about him because, like, he's not
here.
Yeah.
He's not here.
And just to make it clear, because people are going to clip it, nothing.
Can't.
Yeah. Well, hey, he clipped it. I just watched it. Okay, I didn't clip anything out of context. He did the clipping. I just watched it. It's my bad. I'm sorry.
Fair.
Thing that I went through, would I change? I had great memories. I have great memories with Logan. I really do. I have great memories with him. He's taught me so much in life that I could handle now, through what he's put me through and what he's taught me. He is one of God's greatest sharpening tools that I've ever had in my life. There's going to be so many things that I teach my children that he taught me. There is nothing that I regret with that relationship, but I will not bow anymore. And if he wants to come to me as a man and we could discuss it as men, then we'll talk about it. But I'm no longer his right hand. I'm not going to be it.
First of all, you were only his left.
Yeah, you were the right because you jerked them off so much.
I was going to say.
I forgot that was the intro to the first clip we watched. Last time.
That's the zinger. So
The
yeah, that's
zinger.
all to give context on how he is with Logan. Right? Like all of the times that we've seen him talking about the business side was because he was talking to Mike, who was part of the business that he was going on. He wasn't like, they weren't just randomly attacking Logan who wasn't there. They were trying to address every single point that they made within their context. And of course, Logan's going to come up because he's talking to the guy who's still on Impulsive.
It's a
with
shared
Logan.
experience. They are the other co-hosts of Impulsive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But the goal was to have a conversation with Mike. The goal wasn't to talk shit on Logan, but that ended up happening. I think that context is relevant because they weren't just both of them just sat there talking shit and then Logan was like, I have to respond. No, it was their conversation. And if you want to go and have a similar conversation, you can do. He says multiple times, I respect you and I want to have a conversation with you on the podcast.
Yeah, totally. And even, or off the podcast. He's like, hey, we'll talk about it behind closed doors. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
man to
whatever.
man, yeah.
He's like, this is not the time nor place for it.
And it's very funny because Logan agrees after doing this whole entire response that he
More like a
does,
friend.
going over all the business and stuff. He agrees with it.
What?
There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but here we are. It saddens me that our story has unfolded this way. I wish him nothing but health, wealth, happiness, all the success that he wants. And I hope that one day we can sit down and have a relationship and a conversation.
There we go. That's jarring. That gets me every
the
time.
ending, it cuts like halfway through what he says.
Dude, I've
But, like-
T-Torsed again. I T-Torsed again. I'm fucking dumb. I'm dumb.
Re-click the button, Stanz.
Did you watch me play Game Deal this morning at all?
I watched a bit. I was
Bro,
driving,
I
but-
woke up on the wrong side of the bed. My brain not working. I'll tell you, I literally, my brain not working. Because I never do this. How many of these videos have we done?
A lot. What do
Yeah,
you mean?
we've probably done fucking 80, and I've maybe done this like 5 times total. What? And 3 of them
You
are
used to
today.
do this a lot, but you have recently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
not
so
been doing
I'm
it.
sleepy.
You've been on your ball. You're allowed to have a day off. That's
I
fine.
know. It's just.
I'm
like,
I'm
something.
basically the person doing this video anyway because
Yeah.
I've done 10
'Cause you
million
feel
times the amount
bad.
of research I would normally. So
I actually got sidetracked because I saw Stanz ruin unpaid intern. Huh?
Huh?
Excuse me. That's good clickbait for me. Okay, let me watch this shit again.
click
God
the
damn
thing
it.
again
I
and
know,
it will
I
jump to the
know,
right
man.
point.
I know, man. That's me.
yeah, all right, just
More like a friend. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but here we are. It saddens me that our story has unfolded this way. I wish him nothing but health, wealth, happiness, all the success that he wants. And I hope that one day we can sit down and have a relationship and a conversation.
I feel like as a human being, I am so different than Logan Paul that it makes it really hard for me to understand how he has this separation of the business and the friend. And maybe there's too much enmeshment in my life of like friends and business and family and
Yeah,
stuff like
maybe.
that. But like the fact that he can be like, this is my best friend and we have a show together and then end it with like, hey, fuck it. I wish him namaste, bro. Like, do your thing. It's like, wait, what? What?
Yeah, and it's also crazy because I guess Logan did the same thing as us and didn't watch the whole thing and only watched the shorts. Because if you watch the whole thing, it's not even like once. He clearly, George, multiple times throughout the whole entire conversation, interspersed in between the conversations that him and Mike are having.
Right.
He says, I love and respect Logan and want to have a conversation with him on the podcast.
Mhm.
And all like man to man off the podcast, like you said. He
just
wants
a
a conversation to
Yeah.
reconcile. And Logan ends his video as though he's come up with this crazy idea and that he's the bigger man and he's like, yeah, I have nothing but love and respect for you. We should talk sometime.
Yeah.
As though he's the one sending the olive branch. It's George has been saying it the whole time.
I mean, George has said it on the podcast, which I think you're right. I don't think Logan watched it.
Yeah,
which is so
right?
funny. But two, there are, hey, maybe they're fake. Who knows? But like Logan texted him a lot. He's like, hey man, you coming to my birthday? Hey, you coming to UFC? Hey, you want to go see a movie? Like Logan also was extending some olive branches
Yeah,
separate
but
from
I
the
think
business.
by that point, as we will get through, we're not even halfway through the friends section.
Sure.
We will go through all of the points when it's almost like he's ignorant to the fact that they're obviously not friends anymore, and
Right.
Logan has already ruined their friendship when
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, come to see John Wick with me." He's like, "No, bro, I've been forced to go on a different podcast because you're horrible to me every day, and
Right.
I don't understand what to do."
Yeah. I mean, it does seem it's almost impossible to do, but you want to be like, hey, man, you really hurt my feelings and we need some time apart. Like, I think your behavior was unacceptable and I don't want to see a movie
Yeah.
with you. But like that takes a level of maturity that almost no one can do in the moment when you're like a podcast like that. So
Yeah, and I think George
enough.
has said he regrets not doing those kind of things and feels like a bigger person now, and he feels like he's able to do those things, and that's why he wants to have a conversation now. Okay. Point number 2, I guess, for friends. This doesn't seem like it should be in the friends category, but Logan makes a bunch of money, Stanz. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know this.
I do. I know that. Yeah.
And they mention, well, George mentions how much Logan Paul made at one point. Not to mention how much he made, but I think it's more to do with the context behind him mentioning it. So
Right. I do think it's funny that George will mention money over a period of time, and then all the evidence points to that not lasting more than like a week. You know what I mean? 5K a month, and it's like 5K for 1 month. 11 million a week, and it's like, well, obviously it was not 11 million a week for that long.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
before
But they're
you,
always trying to find a way to
sorry before yeah.
It's all right, you pause. Someone in chat said, "I get the impression Cancer's coming in with pre-bias," which is so funny.
Dude, you're
Go
gonna get
watch the
boomed.
last
You're gonna
video.
get boomed on the. You're gonna get boomed on the other side. We're gonna have 2 videos with angry audiences saying that you suck and I suck, and you've done this to me. You've done this to me, man.
Yeah, sure, I'm down. I'd much prefer to be hating Logan. I'll be
Oh,
honest.
really?
I
You
don't
want to
like
be
Logan.
on the fucking Tate side
Yeah,
of
yeah.
history?
Yeah, Robrick, go watch the last video where we were like, everyone in the comments shitting on us because we didn't do enough research.
And that's how I know that we're honest at this point, because both sides hate us.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Hell yeah.
This is gonna sound condescending because it is. It's so
Yeah.
true.
This is gonna sound condescending
I'd
because it
say
is.
fuck that guy.
Into the comments about me are so funny. All right, let's play this clip.
Yeah,
Push me
please.
out.
I don't.
You know what he told me when I told
think
you know what I
that
told
was-
hold on,
I
hold
think
on.
that was
this
a
is a guy who's
fair-
this is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making. Okay, and on top of that, we never got any money from Prime, and we own that show. So technically, we should have gotten
Pause
a
there.
percentage of that.
Yes.
So, what's very funny, Logan seems to not mention the previous part that we've talked about where he said he didn't get any money from Prime. But he will clip the first part that where George says he's making $11 million a week from Prime. Because it is very obvious in that context, right? He's not just talking about Logan Paul existing, making 11 million. He's saying Prime, which is basically Logan, is making that much money.
It is a massive success, and we are promoting it heavily on a show that we co-own, and we are not seeing a return from that.
This is Logan's response to that.
Show is a little confusing.
This is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making.
This statement is so crazy that it's almost laughable. That would mean I'm making $572 million a year. I'm nowhere near that. What happened was Prime had a very successful month. I think we did like 60 to 70 million, and I sent it to our group chat because I was proud of the business. I was stoked to show the boys, and I think George maybe misinterpreted that as like my personal income.
The show hit rock bottom.
No,
and
I don't
we
think
weren't
George
getting-
did misinterpret that, you fucking moron. I think if you watch the clip, he knows that it's from Prime, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah. And I think that George has had this problem where his core point is very reasonable, and then he says it in a way that is
That can be misconstrued,
yeah,
right?
they can
That, like,
not just can be misconstrued, but it is so unbelievably easy to misconstrue. And in
Yes.
fact, some people just accidentally misconstrue it because they're not really
Completely
sure
agree.
what he's saying. Yeah.
That's why when we're watching the clips from George's own podcast channel,
Yeah.
when it cuts out from the whole entire conversation, it's not even cutting him out of context. It's taking what he said.
Yeah.
But because of the way that he says it, it makes it sound like he's saying a different thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's really hard to describe.
Yeah, and so it's easy for
Um,
Logan to just latch onto those easy ones to answer and then ignore the other ones because he's made a video.
Yeah. hold on.
Very funny to be bad at speaking when your job is a podcaster. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
that's also how I felt when it was like, oh wait, he was supposed to be a comedian from like the clips
I
that
also
I've seen.
agree that I'm fucking coming back to do extra research, and I've had to watch so much of this shit. It is boring as hell. I hate all of them. I never want to have to watch another one of these again. I
This
don't
was
like
your idea.
George.
This was your
I don't
idea,
like
man.
Logan. I am not on anyone's side. They're all fucking really, really annoying. But if it wasn't for that one thing we missed, then we wouldn't be doing this video. But we're doing the video, okay?
Yeah.
But I think Logan's clip of like doing the math to show like how wrong and cringe George is,
Sure.
and like laughing at him is crazy because I think he's doing an insanely dishonest thing, right?
You don't like the chalkboard?
I don't think even Logan thinks that George really is saying that he's making that much money all the time, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I said it earlier, I can't really put myself, I'm having a hard time putting myself in their heads. Like, what is genuinely them not understanding the other person, and what is them maliciously misrepresenting the other person on both sides?
Yeah, I think
can't
this is
connect it.
maliciously misrepresenting because I think even Logan is smarter than this, and I think he's being cringe.
He's showing per week, not per month. Well, that's because the clip showed 50 million in a month, right? That's why he's trying to. So if you divide that by 4, it's it's what, 13 or something.
He's showing per week because
because George said $11 million a week.
per week,
and so he's trying to think of like, why would George think that? Because it was around 50 million in a month.
Yeah.
I wonder what these other numbers are. Does this is other revenue, or maybe it's like, hey, how much these things are making? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is very interesting to me.
But in doing more research, I watched one of their friends from the vlogging days has done a video talking about this.
Okay.
And it's very interesting watching his
One second,
response
we're getting
because-
TTS. I forgot to turn it off. It's a bad day.
Or is he
I
just
love how you say
even
you
more at
forgot.
11?
You never do.
Because I always
I
tell
don't think you've
myself
ever
if we're
turned it
doing a
off.
dive, I'm going to turn off TTS, and then I literally have never done it once. Just
Yeah,
never
and then you
once.
don't, and then you go, oh, I should turn it off, and then you don't.
Yeah, and then I
and it'll
don't.
happen multiple times.
Ooh, I would hate for someone to send money to me to fucking interrupt the stream. TTS Monster, is that what I use? You know what? I'll pause it. Anyway, back to the
I have
full
no
cam.
idea.
Thank you. Hold me closer, tiny dancer.
They're called coolest chatter as well.
It's
Well, I knew
it's
they were
Rocket
gonna be
Slacker.
cool.
You're looking at
What?
Sorry, you're saying who did the sub?
No, you said it anyways. Back to full cam.
Oh,
There's
God, I thought you were
message, and
saying-
they're
I
called
thought
coolest chatter.
There was a because people have changed their name. Like Brooke was like Pants Hater
No,
earlier
no.
today or something. How do I pause this shit? I have a solution. I'm gonna turn the volume to 0.
Do that, yeah. I'm sure that won't work, and it will still come through. But fuck it. It doesn't matter. We can carry on.
How do I save? Hold. Okay. We're good. I fixed it. I saved it. Now remind me to set it back to 65, chat. Otherwise, my life is over. Okay.
So it's very interesting to see some other people that are close to Logan's perspective on this. Mark Donna, one of them, was a previous friend of Logan and George, and they were like when Logan was going through his like vlogging stage, these were like one of the cast of characters that were around.
God, he was in his vlog squad.
Yes, essentially. And Mark took the same kind of vibes from this that I think George was intending. This wasn't meant to be like a oh, I hate Logan because he's making so much money. It's like, bro, I'm not making money. You're my boss, and you're sending me a screenshot of how much money you're making and not giving me.
Yeah, and that's the kind of like disconnect of, and Logan says it so many times, like, it's just business, and it's like, hey man, contextually you have to understand and empathize with us, because like it's so rude, it's so shitty, dude. You want us to like be happy for you? We're over here struggling. I'm gonna put struggling in air quotes because I've seen how much money some of these guys are making, but it is tough. You know what I mean?
So this is from his context, what he says.
Got it. Oh, it opened on the wrong one because I opened the fucking settings over there.
It's all right. You didn't miss much.
Okay, got it.
I used to make $1,000 a month working for Logan. He paid for my rent. Granted, I slept on an air mattress in a closet. Super grateful for it. It's all part of my journey. I wouldn't be where I am today without all that. Had to pay my dues. I remember him telling me one day in the gym.
There's so much like self-improvement slash grind hustle culture that is like, oh, super grateful I had to pay my dues. I would love for one of these guys to be like, man, that was fucked, wasn't it? Like, kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I thought when he was saying this, it was going to be like both of them were like grinding, and neither of them had really made it yet.
Yeah.
But this is he's contextualized the time. That
this was in Puerto Rico at the mansion,
sleeping in a closet on an air mattress, and then Logan does this. This blew my mind.
He showed me a screenshot of his Shopify, and he made like $1 million a day for 3 days straight. Super happy for him, but I get what George is saying.
That's
when George
fucking crazy. That's like worse than the Prime thing. $1 million a day, 3 days straight, and your friend's sleeping on an air mattress in your closet. And you show him.
That is tough. I feel like at this point I pay cans too much, bro. Logan Paul's making $3 million. Even $3 million.
Hey, if you let me sleep in your closet, I'll take $1,000 a month.
Don't say things you don't mean.
You don't understand how much I'd love to live in your closet, Stan.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Even that much revenue, right? I think it's like easy to say like, oh, is this profit? Is this revenue? On Shopify, what are we seeing? Because like, what if the margin on each item is 10 cents and he sold
I'm sure he's not getting all of that, and there's like the fees and shit, but it's still like you're showing off to your friend who's living in your closet.
Yes, it's like, come on, read the room, bro.
Yeah,
which is, it's funny because we said that about George in the last one. It's like, read the room.
Yeah.
It's like, Logan, read the room.
That was the context that George was like talking about his situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was saying, hey, bro, I'm not making that much and you show me $11 million. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Rather than it being the like semantics of, well, actually, I wasn't making $11 million because if you push up my glasses further, you can see that Prime was only making this much and I would be making this much.
The answer is that like if we knew exactly how much Logan was making, it would destroy that point, right? Because it would be like, oh, you weren't making $11 million a week from Prime, but between all your business ventures, you were making, $10 million a month or something. It's like, it's just too much money.
Yeah. It would be still an absurdly large amount of money. That's irrelevant to the point. Yeah. So Logan, in doing that in his video, making it seem like George is an idiot for thinking that, is like so like he's trying to hurt all of George's arguments by taking this one completely out of the context that it should be in.
Oh yeah, classic debate tactic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Next point. Not having space to grow. This is George and Mike talking about the context of being on Impulsive.
Okay.
Like that. So for you to sit there and be like, oh, I know what you're going through, and then try to make it seem like what I'm saying is a little bit more fabricated, I think that's going to come back at you when the day that you finally snap and you're like, all right, I'm done with this shit. And then you're going to see it for what it is. Because
I already see, that's the thing, I already see it for what it is. So I don't have the same type of reaction to things happening. I don't see
Damn,
it.
sagely. He's like, bro, I already see it. I actually do think Mike sees it. I think Mike understands like what is going on here, and that's what makes
his
him
position in a lot of the. He knew it in like vlogs back in the day. He knows it on the podcast. He kind of like deals with it. And I actually will say the one thing that I've enjoyed from having to do all this, like look into the background of everyone and everything, is I think Mike's kind of fucking sick. I like really like Mike. He's got a best-selling book on like how to deal with addiction, and his story is fucking crazy. And after hearing excerpts and him talking about it passionately, I'm like gonna buy his book and read it. It's like he's actually seems like a really great guy. In some instances, I will say sometimes maybe he's a little cringe, maybe he's a little hot-headed or whatever, but I think he's got a story to tell, and I want to read the book. I think it's good.
I think that one thing George has mentioned earlier is that like he felt unleashed or unlocked when he was like authentic to himself and threw away his fears. And it's like, that's how Mike's like, yeah, I've been that way the whole time. He's like, I've been the authentic me this entire time. He's like, this is who I am. I was never doing the first thing. So there will not be a breaking point because I'm already where you are at, but not in a rude way.
Yeah. Kind of George does have a rebuttal to that. And that then leads into the clip that Logan uses out of context.
Got it.
there and think to myself, like, I'm sitting in some perfect world scenario. This is showbiz, bro.
Yeah.
It's a
That's like a pet peeve of mine. I hate that so much.
You're right.
It's like, for me, hearing that showbiz, bro, is the same as like boys will be boys, right?
Yeah,
It's like there's so much sure. Boys will be boys, sure.
Yeah.
Showbiz is showbiz, sure. But like, what are you excusing in saying that statement?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like,
the thing that follows it is never something that I think should be acceptable in the context.
I'm not a
of what it
racist,
is.
but
it's
like similar lines that you shouldn't say because whatever's following it is awful.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a thing that you shouldn't agree with.
Very emotional.
No, and by the way, God bless you for it. God bless you for that emotionality and having that emotional intelligence that was called into question. God bless you for it, bro. You have to shed some of that, certainly, to be in that space. Yes, shit gets said to me. Yeah, I feel left out of shit. Certainly I fucking do, and it pisses me off, and it makes me frustrated and saddened. Of course it does.
I just think that
Sorry, I'm not laughing. It's just like, this is the first time Mike's been fired up.
Yeah. He gets fired up a couple of times in this podcast. This is the one kind of related to Logan. There's one bit, because like I said, I watched the whole entire thing.
Yep.
There's one bit before talking about the Logan stuff where he talks about his like addiction and struggles, and that's what made me want to read his book. It's actually so sick. He's like, I think it's cool.
That is cool.
You're in, and I have to say this confidently, and I hope I'm not just being a kid that's ranting. I'm literally just trying to meet the man that I used to be, which I think is you, and tell you, hey man, where you're at, there's no room for you to grow. They won't let you grow. They will not let you grow.
It's there but that's fine. That's
so
fine.
Pause
though.
for
Like,
a second.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of the perspective of that clip that we've just seen, the end bit is what Logan will like take out of context.
Right, because I mean, this is a clip that we've seen. They will not let you grow
Yes.
3 times. Yeah.
And I wanted to give the full context to leading up to that because it's not from a perspective of Logan is cringe and he's holding you back. It's like, I think you're holding yourself back by not going out and doing your own things. And it relates back to the conversation they've had previously that George thinks Mike should be being a voice for people who have gone through addiction in the same way that he is in his book. He's like, you should be doing that, but everywhere, bro. Go be passionate. Go talk to people. Go inspire people. And he's saying that's what George has done now with this podcast. He was passionate about religion, and now he is talking about religion on like basically every single episode of the podcast. And Mike is proud of him for it, but isn't doing it himself. So George is like, bro, you should go do it.
It is also funny that like George is talking about this like human growth and self-reflection and doing what is like right for you. And Mike's immediate answer was like, that's showbiz. And like, I am willing to do this thing to get to this thing. Neither of them is inherently wrong. Maybe you do want more self-actualization, and maybe you do want to feel like you have more value based on your personality in the world. But maybe you do just want to like make money and tell silly jokes and like hang out and do these things. Neither of them is inherently wrong. And so it is like, I think maybe I hedge a little bit towards like Mike's personality. And so if George told me, he's like, you gotta leave, you're wrong, you're gonna snap, and it's like, bro, this kind of rules. Like what? I don't necessarily feel this compulsion to like actualize in the way that you are, George.
Completely agree. I think your takeaway can be like, I agree with George, I agree with Mike. I think the takeaway being, oh, he's saying that Logan is cringe is crazy.
And that growth is only in the sense of like money or eyeballs. Because yeah, George is not talking about that even in the slightest. He's talking about like being your true self as growth.
Yeah, so Logan takes that incredibly bad faith out of context and uses it, honestly, for the bulk of his response, which is crazy.
More than welcome.
Hey man, where you're at, there's
And I hate to drive this home again. It's just because Logan's business build. He's like, grow? You mean revenues? And then he'll do like 5 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
But to be fair, if you didn't watch the podcast, and I would know, that's what you're going to think. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, I'm starting to realize that those commenters had a point.
Yes, exactly. That's hey, me too, bro. That's why we're doing this video. I completely agree.
They won't let you grow. They will not let you grow.
I thought saying that to Mike was a little crazy. He's grown a lot. He has 2.7 million subscribers since we
Like
met.
going straight to subscribers is like, he's grown a lot. He's got a lot of subscribers. It's so funny, yeah.
Like, you
He's
could
a
take that same clip of George going, "He will not let you grow," and be like, "Well, actually, if I measure him, he was 6'2" when he started the podcast, and now he's 6'3". So actually, get fucked. Is like, yeah, sure, take it however you want. That's not how George wanted it. Take it.
That's funny.
Millionaire, best-selling
and he
author.
goes on. He says a whole entire, like, the next 2 minutes are like basically just Mike's doing really well.
Yeah.
Which we don't need to watch because we know how cringe that is.
Yeah.
I tried as much as I could to help him get into those positions, and it's not entirely because of me. Mike is a phenom in his own right, and he capitalized on the platform that I gave him, which is awesome. Just like George is doing now, but if that's not growth, like, what is? In fact, I think
Even asking the rhetorical question is like, yeah, if you would watch the conversation that George had, he would like tell you
If
what growth
that's
is.
not growth, what is? Yeah, that's it's so funny.
It's just, it's almost inhuman. Like, it's so separated. You meet a lot of people in this who are like content machines, business machines. And not just, sorry, in this meaning like the content world, but also in this meaning like on Earth. There's people who are like, well, what do you mean growing investor like revenue isn't the number one thing for my company? What do you mean being like the third biggest franchisee in Arkansas isn't like my number one goal? It's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, people are different. And Logan's different.
Logan is different. So true. He's built different.
He's truly built differently.
Okay. So the next point, which I'm sure you will remember, whether they recorded 3 episodes on George's birthday. This was a big one, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you George's... sorry. I'm not going to show you George's side of the conversation from his podcast yet.
Okay.
Because it'll come up later and you'll see why. But I included it here because this is definitely like a friend thing, right? Mm-hmm. So here is what Logan has to say about it. And we'll see the clip that Logan chose to use from George's podcast.
Got it.
Follow them to this day.
And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
The 2 episodes he's talking about, not 3, were shot 4 days after George's birthday. His birthday's on January 3rd. We shot those episodes on January 7th. We were already in Vegas signing the UFC.
Can I tell you a problem I have?
Yes, go.
As a kid and a little bit into my adult life, although I think I am shedding the skin of it, I was like a hardcore pedant. Like the way that Logan is addressing these, I'd be like, oh yes, oh yeah. I was like, that's like, actually, it wasn't your birthday.
It was 2, not 3.
Yeah,
it's like
the
right weekend.
I have to agree that one of like the worst parts about my personality was things like this, and so like seeing it is so icky. It's like, bro, this is your friend. Talk to him.
It doesn't matter. I'm glad you understand now, and you've grown from the pushes up glasses person, because 2 or 3 doesn't matter. You'll also see when we find the context to this later on. There's a reason I'm holding it off. Yeah. Because the reveal of the context of why he mentioned the 3, sentence.
It's because the guests
this.
were George's family, and he took them away from George on his birthday and didn't invite George to interview them.
No, the sentence is kind of unrelated to the bit we've seen. Is literally followed. It is prefaced by something crazy that we will get to in a bit.
Okay, got it.
But we'll leave it here.
Should we finish more him talking about the birthday?
No, we don't.
Because it's just more business. We're signing with the UFC, and we got to be efficient while we're there. If you don't remember.
Okay. The final point that's under friends. Is the religion argument, which I know is basically like the main thing, right? That seems to be the biggest fracture between the two of them.
Would you say it's the straw that broke the camel's back?
I'd say it's the final straw, yeah.
Sheesh.
This is George and Mike talking about it on the podcast.
And for context, they are both religious guys, right? They've talked about how their faith like brought them together, and it's things they were talking about.
George's whole podcast is basically like get guests on and talk about them, but in the context of religion.
Right.
That's like what he does on the George Janko show.
Which honestly is kind of a cool niche. Like you got to have a niche to a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's not for me, it's for some people.
Yeah, I'm not religious, and most of the stuff he talks about, I'm like, honestly, I think he's kind of cringe. I don't like him very much, but he is doing the thing, right? Yeah. Like, I don't have to like him to agree to, like, a lot of these points are just like, Logan treated him badly, right? He can still be a bad person and me not like him, but also agree that Logan's treated him badly. So.
Right. Fair enough.
And Mike is religious, but, like, not to the same extent.
Sure.
They are able to talk about religion and stuff, but I don't think Mike would really bring up religion if he wasn't talking to someone who was religious.
Right. All right, check it out.
to think
I can
that,
only accept so much.
to think, and hold on. Let's step back and talk about a couple things. To say that that the execution of your treatment on the show, outside of the show, whatever, was perfect would be the biggest overstatement of all time. There was a million things, George, that could have been done differently. The conversation about Jesus was horrible. Managed terribly. I'm with you on that. Okay, and by the way, so is Logan. He would admit that if he could have that conversation again, it would go completely different. You know that, bro. He didn't go into that with some sort of
Pause
intent
for a
to harm.
second. When I was making this video and going over, like, the second time when I was going over the actual context and stuff, this hadn't been released yet, but Impulsive's latest episode is talking to, like, one of the most prominent Christian influencers.
That's so funny.
And it's crazy that he's released it now, because it's I feel like he's done it on purpose. I don't know.
Right.
But also, for Mike to say Logan would want that conversation to go that way now, I was watching the thing, and I feel like it's awful. Like, there's the people who are religious are saying things that are kind of like crazy, and then Logan and Mike are like saying things that are kind of crazy. Right. Mike, actually, I'm Mike build, so I probably am a little bit biased. Mike has some things that I'm like, oh, this is a genuine question, and then the people don't answer the genuine question, and then Logan goes, what if I stick my finger up my bum? Would that make me a sinner? And it's like, what the fuck is happening? And they don't do a good job of it, and they didn't do it with George. So saying that Logan cares about it is crazy, because he doesn't, and he has shown he doesn't because of this latest episode.
The next time it came up, he was still the same person, right? There was no growth shown. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get comments being like, "Well, actually, you didn't watch the whole entire of that podcast." Shut the fuck up.
Dude,
I'm not watching 2 hours.
Where we watch
I'm not watching 2 hours of some fucking cringe losers I don't like talk to other cringe losers that I don't like.
Mike's cool. Mike's cool, man.
Mike's cool. That's why I said one guy and two. Mike's cool.
Yeah. Okay, should we continue on here or no?
We should. I've lost where I was. Religion. Press play for a little bit, but I think we might have got everything from this juice.
Clearly got carried away, was not seeing your side of the discussion, and it turned into a clusterfuck.
I just don't. Not like I don't believe it, bro. It's just patterns. So you got to see the patterns. We'll use an example,
we
bro.
don't need to include that bit. Say, hearing him being like, I think Logan would do it differently, and he's like, it's not that I don't believe it. It is that you don't believe it, George, and you're right, because he wouldn't do it. He would do it.
Yeah, because he's like, and patterns, like he showed. There's evidence. There's evidence that, like, hey, he has been, poking me and prodding me about my religion for like the entirety of our friendship. So I just don't think that he's actually changed now. Like, why would I believe that?
Yeah. This is part of the same conversation, but we don't need to listen to all of it. So go to 5936.
5936, copy.
There was a place for you to continue. Now listen. Do I understand your desire to depart after all the shit that went on? Absolutely, bro.
Thank you. That's all I asked. I just don't want you guys to look at me like, why is this guy so upset?
No,
I had plenty of reasons to be upset.
I get it, but I think some of them were mismanagement of situations. Some of them were hot-headed. There was a lot of mistakes. This is the thing that I've said on every podcast I've gone on. There was a lot of mistakes made on everybody's parts. We're not perfect. We're just not perfect. The problem that I had was...
So Mike is completely right. In that there was mistakes on all ends, and I think George's point is that I'm saying there's mistakes. I just want you guys to say that you've made mistakes, right?
Right. George specifically has said that, like, hey, I think a lot of this stemmed from like my inability to deal with this and me being an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, he said those words out loud. I think he's just waiting for Mike to say it, and then specifically for Logan to say it. But it'll be a cold day in hell when Logan says it, man. You know what I mean?
Because Mike throughout this is kind of trying to find out what he did wrong. So eventually he says, like, yeah, sure, I did this. But a lot of the points that George brings up, he's like conflating Logan and Mike as like the same person.
Right.
So like Logan did this thing and Mike's like, yeah, bro, but I didn't. So a lot of the issues George has are technically with Logan and not with Mike. So George is willing to say, "Hey, I've done nothing wrong. I want to talk to Logan and hear him say that, and then we can be good." And like you said, I don't think that's ever going to happen. So
Yeah, I just can't imagine.
But what's crazy is I think that this is one of the biggest points, and the other biggest points has got his whole category that we're about to talk about, Stanz.
Okay.
And Logan in his video goes, "This is the big one" when talking about Prime versus Celsius.
Right.
And this is what he has to say about the religious argument part.
Got it.
There's a lot more. I'm not going to get into it, but this isn't to say, by the way, that I didn't fuck up along the way. I did. I should not have mocked his beliefs. I apologize for that. I should have stuck up for him with Bobby Lee, and I definitely should have had his back.
To be fair, I was like, Logan would never apologize, and I did actually completely forget about this. So hey, fucking, I'm a Dumbo. Guess what? I apologize.
Or like a friend. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but here we are. It saddens me that our story has unfolded this way. I wish him nothing but health, wealth, happiness, all the success that he wants, and I hope that one day we can sit down.
He literally mentions it in like one sentence, and he combines the two biggest things that George talks about in his podcast, religion and the Bobby Lee situation.
Mm-hmm.
He combines them into one sentence and says, "Hey, this is where I fucked up, but anyway, we'll gloss over that." You know, it's like you just did a whole video on like, well, here are the receipts actually, and really the core of it is that George is upset. He's not caring about like the money aspects of it at all.
Yeah. It's such a human, personal issue, and it's because it's being played out on this battlefield of podcast versus podcast. It just like became so weird.
Yeah, and we're about to get onto the worst part of this, which this section I have labeled crime, because that's honestly that's what it is, and it sucks that George had to go through this, and it is a heavy topic, and is the reason that I want to make this video is to clarify that the things that we have previously talked about, the previous 2 points, the friends and the business, was the reason that I wanted to do this video in the first place. This next section, this isn't drama, right? This is a crime, and this is horrible, and isn't usually something that I would like us to talk about on this channel, because this is supposed to be like light, funny, like internet things. Which is, if I had done my due diligence, we wouldn't have talked about this, because I wouldn't want to touch on this because it gets really heavy, and I don't think us two bozos are maybe the best people to talk about this kind of stuff. But I've already made the mistake, so I've gone and done the research, and we're gonna go everything today.
All right, let's do it. Let's close it out.
So I have some things for you to see, Stanz, that honestly I don't feel comfortable including in our video.
Okay.
But I'll ask you, because I'm debating with this.
Okay.
I don't want to include it because I don't think it should be on the internet, especially with how George has talked about it after the fact. But I want you to see what is up on the Bobby Lee podcast episode, so that you can understand it. Do you think we should also show YouTube?
I think George, I'm presuming George is the victim here. Like, does George not want it shown? Because if so, yeah, we don't show it, you know?
Well, that's another thing. He shows a clip of it we saw it in the shorts that he posted on his channel.
Oh.
That's how I saw it. I didn't know it happened until I saw it live when we were watching it. So he's shown a clip of the worst of it. There's definitely bits that have been cut, which George talks about and we will talk about. There's nothing. It's not like I'm not wanting to show because it's like TOS or whatever. I'm not wanting to show.
Right. No, I truly could not care less about TOS. I just care about like the feelings of the person it affects. Right. So that's a tough one. How about I watch it full cam?
You watch it full cam, and then if you feel like you should give context, then you can show.
Yeah, because it also depends on like, you know, what the accusation is, what people are saying.
The first one you can see.
Okay.
Because this is I realize there's two, and they're separate instances, kind of. So this is all about the Bobby Lee situation. So we're gonna give ourselves some context and have a look at some clips from the previous podcast.
Okay.
The
one he walked out on. Yeah.
Yes. The podcast starts with Bobby Lee coming in and talking about George's cock and how it's tiny compared to KSI's. And when I say starts, I mean like literally he's walking in, he sits down, and he's talking about everyone's cocks. And talking about how much he loves KSI. It's very weird, but everyone's kind of like laughing and like, is this how all Bobby Lee podcasts start? What the hell's happening? It's very weird.
All of this stemming from the fact that Logan Paul's never watched another podcast, which I believe in my heart of hearts is so funny. They'd be like, "Oh, we got Bobby Lee. He's a big podcaster." He's like, "Cool, man, cool." Yeah. And then he comes on. He's like, "Oh, I guess this is what he does." I don't know.
The whole podcast is kind of uncomfortable and it's weird. But this is the first clip that I want us to take a look at.
Got it. This is from the Impulsive channel.
You're going to love it, okay? Can I touch it here?
Absolutely.
Okay. You can call me Ching Chong.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Pause.
You can call me...
Because, yeah, obviously, there was a lot in that 2 seconds. Because the crazy part is what Bobby Lee says after the cut, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
why does he say that, bro? I mean, I know why he says that, because they're about to... for some reason, Mike asks if he can be... No, Logan asks if you can be racist to someone if they're racist to you. Because... Bobby Lee, I think, was racist.
We're finally back. I'm so glad that we're watching Impulsive now. And honestly, credit to George for having a podcast where they're talking about something that might actually matter. I forgot that Impulsive is just Logan Paul asking the dumbest questions known to man.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. We're back.
Bobby Lee says something racist, so then Mike replies with something racist towards Asian people, and then Logan asks if it's okay to be racist if someone's racist to you.
Right.
And then Bobby Lee then goes... You can
grabs
his
thigh and says, "Can I touch you here?"
Yes. So this is obviously the context to why Bobby Lee's saying weird stuff is.
I want to call. Reed the producer for this show too. I got a bone to pick with Reed. Whoever put that chair there. You cannot do this, dude. I know that we've already addressed like the seating arrangement, but what is happening here? Look at the way he's got to turn around. Yeah. It's like,
yeah, it's weird.
It almost feels like they were trying to bully George, straight up.
So what Bobby Lee is saying and the context behind what he's saying is irrelevant because the main thing is, as you pointed out, Bobby Lee says, "Can I touch you here?"
Yeah.
But is touching him here as he says it.
Oh, yeah, or before he touches him and then says, "Can I touch you here?" Yeah. So it's the wrong order for consent, of course.
I will say that the first 9 minutes or whatever of this podcast, there's a bit before without Bobby Lee, and then Bobby Lee joins. The vibes are great. Everyone's laughing. George is having a great time.
Yeah.
But if you press play from here, and then notice the cut happens as soon as Bobby has touched his thigh and says, "Can I touch you here?"
Got it.
And George says yes. Then there's a cut to what Bobby Lee's saying.
Right.
And then it pans out, and look at George's face when it's panning out after that.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Okay. You can call me Ching Chong.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can call me Flatface. You know?
I don't want to.
I know. Yeah.
No, we don't want to do that.
Yeah. I'm just saying anything goes with me because
he has gone to cross-legged. He is covering his crotch, and he is no longer smiling, laughing, happy.
Yeah, he looks like he's just seen war. He's shell shocked. He's kind of blinking and
And if you even look at you can tell that there's been a cut, not just because of the camera angle change or whatever, but Bobby Lee was had his arm on George's thigh and was facing him, and then the next second he is talking facing Logan back towards George. So instantly I saw that and was knowing, because I'd already seen the podcast, that George says they cut shit.
Yeah.
I think that was...
Which was one of his biggest grievances. Is hey, man, I look like an idiot on this, but you cut out all the reasons that would make it reasonable for someone to walk out. Right.
Yeah, and I think that was the moment that something happened, which I am telling you this in this order because it makes the next point even crazier, right? If you are in the context of George has been, I'm thinking, allegedly sexually assaulted in that moment, right? Bobby Lee has grabbed his dick without him wanting to, and they had to cut it from the podcast, and they've moved on like nothing happened and cut it out. And now George, from this point onwards, is dealing with that, right?
Right.
Then this is the part that they leave in the podcast, and I think this is the part you should go full cam and then judge whether we show.
Okay, right here. Just hit play.
No. I've sent
Oh,
you
you've
that thing,
given me
sorry.
new parts. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
This is about 10
Like
minutes
a
later.
fledgling-
What?
They're talking about Bobby Lee's junk because, of course, they are. And I'm showing you this so you have the context.
Okay.
What cologne? Like what?
Well, that's why I wanted to smell.
Or maybe
yeah.
he'll know the smell too.
So don't worry about it, guys. I'm not gonna show my dick.
Maybe
Smell,
just
smell
look
his
it up.
dick.
Oh shit, he really his ass is out.
Look at the tattoo.
All the money and,
got a tattoo.
and you're
It's-
using fruit.
I feel like you got that in prison.
Yeah, I did.
Dude, I just got the biggest
Yeah, so-
boner for some reason.
Smell this part. Smell this part. No, smell. You gotta smell
I
it,
just wafted, bro.
dude.
Just wafted.
Dude, this is not gay. It's podcasting. It's for entertainment.
It's
And if-
material.
And in improv, you never disagree.
Okay.
You always agree.
It's yes and.
Because
Yes
yes,
and.
and you ruin the fucking moment if you don't do it.
Got it.
So you're gonna fucking smell my dick,
Okay.
and it's not gay.
It's
Pause.
material.
That's what you want to say right before you stick your fucking penis in someone's face, right? You want to tell them that you have to say yes, otherwise you ruin the vibe. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's like abuser behavior. I think we should watch this on stream. It's part of the Impulsive podcast. It's also extremely fucking weird. And I think that
Yeah, it's the next
in and
bit
of
when
every... Oh, okay, got it. It goes further.
because he actually he does it.
Okay, yeah.
You can still we might be okay to show it. That's why I just want you to see it all first before we.
Copy.
George.
Yeah. So here. I have to grab your head.
No.
It smelled good. It smelled good.
No, smell it.
He's right. It smells like.
Yeah.
cologne.
Does it really?
Like
Does it
what?
really?
Like
It smelled like
And
he
that's it.
sprayed it like 2 days ago.
We can show chat if you think that's okay. I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify. There's nothing else after that.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, bro.
It's bad.
It's weird. I'm going to say something crazy. George actually, like, what am I trying to say here? Like, I cannot imagine. I was going to say, like, oh, he did, like, exactly what he needed to do to get out of the situation, but it's like, you should never be put in that situation.
He
It's
shouldn't
like,
have to be put in that situation.
yeah, he
completely
shouldn't have to
agree.
be put in this situation.
But he tries so fucking hard to not do it in a way that doesn't ruin the vibes.
Correct, exactly. He is trying to be a vibe savior while someone is telling him, don't be a baby and
Yeah.
smell my dick. Yeah, it's so
It's like the
weird.
opposite of what we said about him in that episode.
Exactly,
We were like, oh, he was
yeah.
ruining the vibes. And
Yeah.
he did everything. He was trying desperately. And he shouldn't have to even be trying to do that, right?
Yeah. Just for we don't need to watch it. I mean, the audio is here. I don't know. It's just Bobby Lee stands up, pulls his pants down, flashes his ass to the people on the right, grabs George's head and said, "I have to grab your head so you can smell my dick. It smells like cologne." And George is like, "Hey, this is crazy, isn't it?" But like tries to keep the vibes up because this is their guest who has only been here for 6 minutes.
Yeah. So, for the context, and this would be another point that I would like to, like, completely, I think I've said it a lot, but I would like to say it again.
Mhm.
I cannot apologize enough to be like, I cannot believe we did the previous video and I showed you this episode of the podcast
Yeah.
and we didn't have that context in mind, and we looked at all the things. Yeah, pants down, chat, pants down. I can't believe we went over all of that, and I didn't give you this context because it completely changes everything that happened to him during this, and it changes a lot of our reactions to it. And yeah, all your comments that were relating to that, I completely agree with you guys, and
Yeah.
that's why we're doing this video, because I am sorry personally. For,
Dude, there's an hour and 10
going
minutes of
over
podcast left. That's
Right, exactly.
crazy, yeah.
Imagine having to sit there and deal with it throughout that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there are multiple times, like the first clip that I found, where there's a weird cut and he does something else to him, right?
Yeah, and whether he does or he doesn't, like the thing that they showed with or without the cut is already like putting your hand on his thigh. It's just like it's weird. It's all weird.
Okay, so that's enough context from the Bobby Lee episode of the podcast. We can go
Yeah.
back to George's podcast now.
Right.
Actually, before we do,
Mhm.
there's no other clips. Don't worry. But something that I thought we should mention now is Logan and Mike's reaction during that, which would be the thing that George ends up having a problem with.
Right.
Obviously, they weren't the people doing it, but they were definitely not trying to stop it, and they were egging it on and laughing.
Yeah.
And there's a bit previously to that when Bobby's like, "Hey, does anyone want to smell?" And George says, "Not me." And Mike's kind of like, "Yeah, I'd do it." And then when Bobby offers again, he says George has to, and George is the only person that said no, he's not going to.
Right.
And then Mike doesn't then go like, oh, I will, or whatever, or like George said he didn't want to, or no one says anything, and then it happens. So I would struggle to put blame on them necessarily, but it's certainly not the way I would hope a friend would react in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think he played it off cool, vibe check. Like, I was going to say, like, walking out there is totally justified and reasonable. The fact that he didn't is like, we got a hero here. You know what I mean? He's like trying to get through this for his people.
Agree.
And then the fact that like it gets even worse and they make fun of him. And I dude, totally understand quitting the podcast. You're not actually making that much money compared to what you think you could be making. You started this podcast, you're making more. It's like, I think it's crazier for George to stay on the podcast than leave.
Oh, I was asking you, you don't have to, if you don't want to. I was asking you your thoughts on Logan and Mike during it happening. And
oh yeah, that
how they
sucks.
dealt
That's
with
lame.
it.
That's lame as hell. You have to take the bullet. When you are these people and a guest comes in, like, you have to be a united front. Because I think like the meta of like we gang up on the one member, it's not cool. It's not fun. It's not interesting even. Like, you have to be willing to be like, hey man, too far. Like, what are you doing here, buddy? But they didn't do it.
Okay, so let's now move on to George's podcast. We finished watching clips from the Bobby Lee situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is George and Mike talking specifically. They call it the Bobby Lee situation, and they start talking about the Bobby Lee situation.
Right. Let's do it.
And this is George confirming the weird janky cut that we saw just before.
Mm-hmm.
Shit that you should have stood up for me and said, hey, you can't cut that shit. That's gonna make him look like an idiot for leaving.
Okay, let's slow down, and I'll answer that. We have always cut. This is all healthy, by the way. We have always cut.
Start crying.
No.
Which
by the way would be healthy. We have numerous times on the show, which I'm sure a number of shows do, cut things that we believe will protect the integrity or reputation of the guest.
That protected nobody but him.
No, of the guest. That's what
Sorry, that got me the first time too.
It's
not.
It's funny, but also I think he's like so pent up with anger about the situation that he's like not really thinking through what he's talking about, which is fine. Because no shit, that was awful.
Yeah.
Well, what about the guy that you break bread with, bro?
But we removed a number of things that you said on the podcast.
Name one.
Well, no, I'm not going to.
Booty, bro.
No. Do you want me to? There was
one.
something that you said on the laser beam episode.
What laser beam episode?
Do you remember laser beam in Australia when we did that episode? I'd rather not say. I can tell. Why don't I just tell you?
Just tell me. I'll beep it.
You said something about like laughing at a girl getting hit in like a parking lot. You saw like a fight.
I just said the joke wrong.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I didn't sexually harass somebody, man.
I'm not.
Oh, get him, George.
Yeah, I was gonna say because that's the line, right?
Yeah.
Like he's saying, "Oh, I said a bad joke and you cut it." Yeah, that's not the same as cutting someone sexually harassing you, right?
Yeah. Oh, assaulting you specifically. Yeah. Sexually assaulting
Yeah, well,
you,
this is the they haven't even gone into details on anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing you the clips of them talking about it, almost like in order.
Right.
So this is the first instance. There's been no mention of that up until this point.
Right.
And I think Mike, they've talked about how they didn't know how much they were going to talk about or reveal like details of until they get there. So George being like, yeah, I was sexually harassed, like I was sexually assaulted. This is is big. Then we can carry on watching because I think you'll know when to pause, Stanz.
Okay.
You might. I'll give you a little lead into it. That there is a line we talked about that we didn't give context from George's end previously. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
The 3 episodes on his birthday.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay.
So that's like the dog whistle. When you hear that, that Pavlovian response has to be to pause because I think you'll know.
Dude, I pause all the time. People,
you
dude,
go.
I sometimes when I need to feel hate for myself, I read comments on the Kendrick video and just people talking about how much I pause. Whoo, Ooh-wee, they do not like it. They do not like it at all.
What's funny is on that one, I wanted you to pause more, and because
You
I just have
messaged
to
me
cut-
halfway through, and you were like,
Yeah,
pause
yeah.
more. Yeah.
I have to cut out everything that you don't pause for because we can't include the whole song in the video. So you paused less than it seems. which
I
is
know.
awful.
I was fighting the good fight for you, chatters, and unfortunately, the corporate overlords told me I had to pause. All right, let's go.
Listen, I'm not trying to die 1-to-1. I'm just saying
But you, okay, Mike,
Sure.
if this was an episode that was you, and what happened to you, and then the whole world thinks that I walked away because I can't take a joke, that's fucked, bro. That's fucked.
It parlayed into more stuff happening down the line. Like, it just became, at that point, you saw me, I went on Bobby's show.
Yeah.
Right?
And they cut around it. You said that
Well, I have no control over that.
I try to make peace with this guy.
I know.
You've seen me.
Yeah.
I've tried to make peace with him behind closed doors. I try to reach out. I try to be cool. But by the way, and I'll just say this, we'll just empty it out. I never had a problem with Bobby Lee.
No, he knows
I
that.
had a problem with the way that Logan and you were kind of gassing him to keep doing. He started the episode putting his balls in my face. I let that one go. Then every 2 seconds he kept
He did let that one go. He let that one go
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah.
grabbing my dick.
I don't think.
How would you feel if a man that has his back completely towards you, that only turns around to grab your dick,
Right.
talk shit to your face, and you can't smack or beat the living
Well, I
breaks
didn't-
off of
well,
this guy?
so
because Logan makes me apologize to this man, or I don't have a job on Impulsive anymore. How fucking crazy is that?
I don't think I understood. I can only speak for myself.
Bro, it's
I
on a
hope
group
you.
chat.
I hope you can
It's on a
understand
group
that.
chat.
No,
And
no, no,
when
no,
I
no,
asked
no.
him-
Dude, George, he's actually cooking. He's cooking so hard in this section at
There's
every
like,
point. Yeah.
Mike is fucked in this situation.
Yeah,
There's
he's like,
nothing
what do you
can
mean, Mike?
say."
Because you answered, Mike. You said this,
Yeah,
Mike. I have the
George is like,
receipts,
I have
Mike."
the receipts. I have everything I need to say. You
Yeah.
can't fight me on this one. I am fucking Lord and Savior. I'm fucking cooking.
Yeah. He's in the right. It's so easy to be based when you're in the right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is what happened.
I'm talking about during the episode because there was I didn't know that you were feeling.
But after the
type of
episode,
way
do you
about
remember
it.
when you called me? And I said, Mike, this is all that happens. And you said, verbatim, you said, it's our fault for not telling you this, but me and Logan are really the ones who should be talking to the guest. You are really there for a boys only episode.
That's
So while I get sexual
crazy
harassment-
to say that to him in the context of that, right?
Yeah, bro, you got
called
sexually
after
assaulted
being
too
sexually
hard.
assaulted and be like, hey, you should shut the fuck up more.
Yeah.
What the fuck? These are his friends, bro. Well, then clearly not, but oh my god.
Yeah.
I heard that, and I heard that out of context, that line originally, and was like, yeah, that's a mean thing to say.
Yeah.
In the context of being sexually assaulted is like, what the
It's
fuck?
like, sorry we put you in this situation to get assaulted. You just shouldn't have been there. Not like we should have stopped him, which we could have easily done during the episode. Or I am so sorry for what
Yeah.
happened. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's horrible, absolutely horrible, and puts so much context into like their relationship and why no shit George left, right? Like no
Yeah,
shit
totally.
you didn't want to be around these two anymore.
Yeah, that's
Keep watching.
wild.
Fast.
Dude, I can't wait to find out that the Bobby Lee episode was on his birthday. That's like, holy shit.
It's not that good.
Yeah.
but-
My other co-host is trying to fire me, and you're trying to leverage me to be quiet during other guests. And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
I just think
There you go.
Birthday, you
Stan.
shot-
That's fucking crazy. Logan must have watched he mustn't have watched it, right?
No, of course he didn't
hearing
watch
hearing that in the strain of things, he's listing all of the reasons why it was shit, that none of his friends cared about him after being sexually assaulted. And Logan's response to that, which I have right here, we will read exactly. Imagine hearing that string of a podcast where he's like, hey, I got sexually assaulted. None of you guys cared. You even filmed episodes on my birthday.
Yeah.
And then Logan says this.
Well, actually,
Follow them to this day.
And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
The 2 episodes he's talking about, not 3, were shot 4 days after George's birthday. His birthday's on January 3rd. We shot those episodes on January 7th. We were already
Bro,
engaged, signing
who cares the amount of episodes and what day it was?
yeah,
That's insane to me.
it is a bit crazy.
Your supposed best friend got sexually assaulted,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, actually, we only filmed 2 episodes on his birthday.
Yeah.
That's awful. I'm laughing because of how fucking insane it is.
It is bizarre to be sure.
It makes me actually like want to cry for George. How awful that is. That these two were like his public best friends, right? That's
that sucks. That sucks so bad.
awful.
And then fucking knuckleheads like me are putting out videos that's like, anyone else think George sucks? It's like,
completely
damn,
agree.
dude. Yeah.
And I guess I didn't want to say this up top because there was a lot to say up top.
Sure.
I think we should leave the other video up and leave like I will unpin my comment and pin our comment like with a link to this video. Because I don't think we should hide away from the fact that we got it wrong because I don't want to cover up or whatever. But I want to make it explicitly clear that this is our take and we were wrong and we were cringe in the previous one. But I also don't want to like cover up shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, we should just like put like something in the title or something, or change the thumbnail. You know what I mean? We should like go. I think we should go pretty far to be like, hey, this was a huge.
Yeah. Maybe we could unlist it. I don't want to like completely remove it. So I
agree.
I don't know.
Yeah. And obviously, you need the context of us being so wrong in that one for like a lot of this to make sense.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. I hate like doing erasure shit because it can be construed as like you're trying to erase the past like you didn't fuck up, right?
Oh yeah.
And I just desperately don't want to do that, which is why the only reason the video has stayed up currently, because I wouldn't want to take it down for people then to be like, oh, they messed up, and then all they do is take the video down like they didn't.
Yeah, I think
up.
you just put parentheses in the title at the end that says like, I was wrong, new video or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Why not just pin comment? I said I was going to do. We are definitely going to do the pin comment. I'm just trying to think of other ways.
Pin comment doesn't feel like
clear.
enough. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
That's like it feels like an easy way to like hide behind it. Whereas you kind of want to be like, hey, this video exists. So wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could add like brackets like retraction.
Yeah, updated, check new video. But I think more than updated, it's like wrong. Like something like that. I don't know. And the second video
we were
could
wrong.
be called. Yeah, the second video should probably be called "We Were Wrong About George." You know?
Yeah. That's this video for sure.
Yeah.
I wanna try and make this video like 10 times more popular than the previous video, so that I don't hate myself at night. So please, people, watch this video.
Yeah.
Okay. Then same podcast, still George, but a bit later on talking more about Bobby Lee. He brings him up again, and unfortunately for me anyway, he reiterates that he doesn't have a problem with Bobby Lee, which sucks for me because I feel like he should have a problem with Bobby Lee. But
I think the difference is like you can not have a problem is an easy way to just like move on and get closure to the situation because you don't have to see this person again. And it's like, fuck it. I don't even know them. Like I didn't necessarily like them or hate them before, so that nothing has changed. The fact is his relationship with Mike and Logan has changed. And that's what like really matters to him, especially as someone who's talked about growth as a human, growth in their relationships. I can understand why he would say, move on from that. Everyone knows that what he did was wrong and he kind of sucks, whatever. I don't even want to talk about it. It's distracting from my real point, which is my friends abandoned me. My friends stabbed me in the back.
I agree with what you said. I just don't think that's what he's saying.
Oh, okay,
unfortunately, I think that he is saying that he does like Bobby Lee and that Bobby Lee didn't do anything wrong. That's the vibes I get from him.
Bring it back to the Bobby Lee.
Right. And, you know, someone could be doing that as a way to have more impact. Like if he's really mad at his friends, be like, I don't even think he did anything wrong because you guys are the only thing. You baited him into doing it.
That's true.
Yeah. So
anyway, well,
because I didn't want to settle this right now. I've been so quiet about this shit, bro. Bobby, if you're which you are watching, I know you're watching. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you because I know who you are, bro. I know you're using comedy to get out of an uncomfortable situation. I know you're just messing around me. I know even you, when you were grabbing my dick, you weren't doing it because you're like, oh, I want to sexually harass this kid. I know you were doing it because you're a comedian, you're being fun. What hurt me is that I didn't do anything, and I got all the smoke for it, bro. Like all of it. And then he called me fucking Ringo and make jokes on that shit. And then on the podcast, Logan made me apologize to him, bro. If this was anybody else and this was the old version of me, dog, this would have been held a lot more different. A lot more different.
That was it, dude. It was. You're right. I mean, it was in a lot of ways. It was a clusterfuck. I think. And by the way, the whole time,
what a disservice calling it a clusterfuck.
Yeah,
like that's like the second time he's done it. Yeah.
I think this then leads into Mike then changes the conversation over to the religious part. You know, the clip we've seen before. If you press play, you can get the context of that.
And both of them.
The whole time.
Right now, my story.
The whole time I said, dude, like, I said to Bobby when you left, especially, you're going too hard on him. It became. Here was the difference. I think with Bobby and with any comedian, your reaction to those jokes from the beginning are what gave him the fire to keep doing it. And I wanted.
That's crazy. You shouldn't have been wearing that dress. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, bro, you shouldn't have
Yeah.
been so pressed about him grabbing your dick, and then he wouldn't have grabbed your dick. And it's like, what?
Yeah, it's awful. I thought he was going to say something else, and he's not. It's not.
Oh, it's not this section. That's fair. It's just to be clear, Cans did not watch any of this podcast. Everyone watching, so.
Fucking hate you. So, something that we haven't really discussed yet about this situation, like a different layer of context. This is a workplace, right? This is bad enough it just being like friends, but this is his job. And I think legally he could, like, hey, I'm not a lawyer. He could sue Impulsive, right? There's like proper avenues to deal with this. Do you think Impulsive has HR? Like, I'm trying to think of like the levels to this. This is like fucked in
Dude, he's
so
just
many more
texting
ways.
Jim accountant, be like, he probably found him on Fiverr. Like, hey man, how's the money looking? I cannot imagine that there is like a rigorous operational team around this. And if there is, that's maybe even more condemning of the whole operation.
Steve HR, sends him a text saying, "Well, actually, he didn't expense me for any meetings with George, so technically there wasn't any sexual assault because he didn't complain."
Yeah, and it's a lot of the problem with like this new media. I saw it a lot when I worked in esports in like the early days, where it was like a bunch of friends starting a team, and then one guy was just like, "I own this now," and then that guy made a bunch of money, and then everyone else is like, "Well, shit, I got nothing, and now I'm an adult," right? It's like it's very hard in these areas that are outside of like standard regulation. You kind of need workplace abuses to happen so that we can figure out like where there needs to be laws and regulation, like children working in factories or how many hours you can work in a week. And so this is not happening in like the digital space as much as it needs to be.
Yeah. And I was thinking of relating it to the business thing. I was trying to think of a way that Logan would see it as like a big thing, right? Like I think if George really wanted to get at him, saying I feel bad because my friends did a bad thing will do nothing to affect Logan.
Yeah.
But if he said like, "Hey, I'm going to sue you because I was sexually assaulted in the workplace," then Logan will do a video on it. So if he wants the response, then
well, actually, you weren't sexually assaulted. As you can see, his hand was clearly that low. I don't think George has a 10-inch cock. You know what I mean? It's just like it'd be so annoying.
Yeah, it would be awful. But just in case you forgot, this was Logan's only touching part about the Bobby Lee situation.
Even the kid, and I still do. There's a lot more. I'm not going to get into it, but this isn't to say, by the way, that I didn't fuck up along the way.
Just that out of context.
There's a
lot more. I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
Bro, it's crazy.
Yeah, it feels like he should have got into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, feels like he should. Feels like we should have originally, which is why it's hard to laugh at Logan being such an idiot, because so are we caught, you know? I'm sorry. I think, like I've said, I'm sorry enough that I don't need to keep saying it, but I am going to keep saying it because I'm sorry. We should have. We were idiots, but at least I wasn't his friend and I wasn't in the room at the time. So
yeah,
we
you know, unintentionally, but not that matters. We put out incorrect slop. And it's like the worst of both worlds. So
yeah.
And
that's
dude, I hope we don't find out that George is like a Nazi tomorrow. And it's like episode 3. We should have seen it coming. We watched one podcast back, and he's like, I kind of like this Hitler guy. It's fine.
Hey, what I will say is that obviously George has done podcasts with like Tate and stuff. I don't think I like George as a person. It changes nothing on the context of half of the things that he said that we like misconstrued in our previous video.
Right.
His character shouldn't even be called into question because he was sexually assaulted and just wants his friends to be nice to him, right?
Or to be neutral to him, because it seems like he was friends with them and on the show with them for years, where they weren't even nice to him, but like it was okay, it was accepting, it wasn't like too far, and then eventually it was like, wait, you're not only neutral, you are like mean to me.
So we have now come to the end, Stanz. We have officially gone over all of the context of the whole entire podcast and Logan's responses.
Yeah.
You can go full screen, by the way.
Don't you dare.
I'm just saying, you need help today. So
I do. Thank you.
I think now that we've come to this point, it feels crazy to go back and be like, so let's conclude by talking about all 3 chapters. Start with business, right? Like, who gives a fuck about the business shit?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck about like most of the Friends stuff? There's only like one conclusion to make here.
Yeah, and that is that, like, Logan Paul sucks. And George was sexually assaulted on the podcast and was made to feel bad, treated like garbage for beliefs that he held and things like that. And that he has every right to leave. And I don't care if they patch it up. You know what I mean? Like, that means nothing to me. It
Yes.
sucks. Not to, like, making it about me also sucks, but it's like, I feel really bad as well. Like, this sucks. That sucks that we made a video. It sucks that we were wrong.
It does suck.
It sucks that we, like, laughed at this guy. And
it sucks because I wanted to start off with the business things by being like, hey, basically most of the business stuff, we said it the same thing in the video. Here are all the things that we said in the previous video. However, here is how much we missed the mark on the later things. So that's why I wanted to cover them, because in context, like in hindsight now, looking back, I'm like, we didn't even need we didn't need a video on the business and Friends, because it's so fucking, the other point is so astronomical that it like wipes the other 2 points out of question.
Yeah, we were essentially Logan Paul, where we were like focusing on this minutia while going around the main point.
Yes. I got master manipulated even knowing that Logan was gonna do that, and just didn't look at the whole context for everything. And that's it. We're very sorry.
Master
And trust
manipulated
me-
is so funny, bro. You,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna say it. You just didn't watch the podcast.
No.
You got
I was
master
saying master
manipulator,
manipulator as
bro.
a no.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
like-
say I got master manipulator.
Oh, I thought you were
I said
saying
he's
that.
a master manipulator.
Got it. Okay.
But also, yeah, I was saying that as a joke. Obviously, it was the same level of what's the thing we always say?
Let me finish.
Well, yeah, no, that, but that's not.
So
related
that's
to
a
this.
spicy meatball.
The journalism thing. What's the other word? It's something journalism.
Investigative journalism.
Investigative journalism. There we go.
Yeah.
We say that all the time as a joke
just
because
did it
I'm
without
clearly
the
not doing
investigative.
investigative journalism.
Yeah. Or the journalism. We didn't either.
But yeah, I did literally nothing this time. Like, we
Yeah.
joke that I barely have to do any research for these videos because it's not
Yeah.
real research. It's like finding tweets and watching
yeah.
videos.
Uh-huh.
But I literally just didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I thought the situation was way lighter than it was, and it wasn't. It was huge. And yeah. We've already said all this. Most of this isn't making the video.
I think a lot of it is on our conscience. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But you can understand now, Stanz, why I was like, we have to do this video.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. I mean, something had to happen. A
Yeah.
video. It's almost like, you don't want to like monetize, like could make a YouTube community post, but that's less people see that. You want to make a video to make it right.
We can literally not monetize the video.
Yeah, it sounds great. I don't even know if that helps. I don't know. I don't actually know what helps. I just feel bad. It's like you can't delete the old because it's no context. You got to delete the. It's just I want people to know that we were so wrong. I want everyone who watched that last
completely
video
agree.
to know, and also other people to see it and get more context. That's like that's the thing that I would like to have happen.
Yes, I agree. And also, I think, it just sucks. And there's only so much that we can do to right the wrong. I think adding like a brackets in the thing and changing the thumbnail maybe, and literally titling this one like we were wrong. I think is.
I do think we put a Celsius sponsor on it though, just to stick it to Logan.
Yes,
Yeah,
dude.
a free one. Hey, I filled this up with Celsius and. That's damn. That's
dude,
delicious.
that would be so fucking funny. We do an ad insert for like a fake Celsius ad. We do the whole thing as though we've been sponsored.
Yeah, they would sue us. Those fuckers.
Yep.
Fair enough. Donate the proceeds
Right.
of the video to anti-sexual abuse. I am down to do that, and I'll do that. I'll also match it because I don't think it's that much money per video. And I would. It's like, all right,
We'll be
here's
leaking how little money we
$200.
make.
I don't know. We'll donate more money, but yeah, I agree that
Yeah,
would be it. That's like a step in the right direction to start this. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. We can leave that in like a comment or something.
Yeah, for
under
sure.
the video to let people know.
Mhm.
And a link to the charity to see if anyone else wants to donate. That would be nice.
Of course.
Okay.
Dude, I'm sorry. This is not part of the video, and it's also not that funny, but it's so funny to me. Bobby Lee's dick smelled like what? This video is brought to you by Scentbird. Could you imagine?
Oh, no.
Sorry, are you looking for cologne for your dick? Cross River Gorilla. That's the one.
Something that now that we're kind of out of it, if
Yeah.
we're making reference to it,
Sure.
that is kind of in light.
Yeah.
Something that was like really funny that George said is when Bobby takes his trousers down, his boxes. I know we didn't like show it properly.
He's like, bro, you're rich. You can only afford whatever it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
bad. He says he's about to say Fruit of the Loom, and it was
Yeah.
like he was a funny little zinger.
Yeah.
Logan says something louder, and Bobby turns and laughs at him.
Yeah,
He doesn't
it's
even get to finish his own funny joke before he got sexually assaulted.
Yeah, it is hard to
feels so
watch
bad.
George try and take like power back in this situation. There's like multiple ways to take power back in this situation. One is to like lean into it. He's like, yeah, I'll smell your dick. So it's like the embarrassment is gone and you can move through it. One is to like, hey, razz him yourself. Like, oh, you can't afford any better ones. And like all of them fail. And that is what starts this cascade into it being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I completely understand most of the comments.
Yeah. I mean, after seeing this, I'll say I understand all of them. You know what I mean?
No. Because there were
especially
some
the
cringe
ones that are like stinky British man.
And luckily, no one actually said that. They were all right. No, the Kavos video's fucking cringe as hell.
Is it? I haven't watched.
Well,
it,
he is cringe, and he. Just,
are you sure
like,
that you just don't think he's cringe?
No. He is cringe, and those videos are okay because he is like shitting on Logan Paul, and I'm like,
Right.
hell yeah, shit on Logan Paul. But he will choose a side that he wants to be on and be on that side before like doing the video. And it's kind of what we did on the other video.
Right.
So that's why I hate it.
Right? You look into Kavos and you see a mirror and you go, no.
No. I already saw how cringe he was. I just we became it, you know. It
Yeah,
wasn't that
you're
it was
walking
a
along
mirror.
that path,
Oh,
bro.
no.
You got to turn around.
Type a 1 in chat if you know who Kavos is before me mentioning him and think he's cringe. And
Type
a
it
2 in
too if you
chat
think
you've
Kavos is
never
kind
heard
of
Kavos.
based. And the
No,
Pokemon
if you've
shouldn't
never
have
heard of
sold
Kavos,
those
type a
cookies.
2.
Well, now there's going to be a lot of fans. Wait. Shit. This is a tough one.
No, stop.
Yeah, well, I think there's multiple reasons for a 2 here.
Cool. All right. What are you doing now then, Stanz?
Here's the problem. I have a
So
meeting
you're
at
a video?
10:30, but I'm gonna play Trackmania until literally the last second.
The 30 minutes? Go.
I'm gonna play
Yeah,
30
we're all
minutes of
done.
track. I gotta beat this map. I gotta beat this map, man. That's what I have to do. You know what else?
Fail at the map.
my
You will
God.
fall and you will die. And you
You
will reset.
just
dead
don't-
turtle, dead turtle, dead turtle. You're
You've been cursed.
Why would you curse me like that, bro?
Sorry,
I have
what did
to
you
prove
say?
these people wrong. I'm a speedrunner, baby. I can do this. I
Yes.
can do this.
Doesn't it take into account the amount of time you've already spent on it?
Well, we'll see when
Because I wouldn't
open
call
up.
it speed currently.
Oh,
And there's
okay.
been quite a few hours.
Has anyone finished the creator version? And if they have, wasn't it like 20 hours? I could still be the fastest.
Yeah, hey, I'm down.
Yeah.
You go.
Think
for
about
it.
that. How is it I would love
Have
some
you actually
positivity.
thought
from
of
my
what you're
friends.
going to do for the speedrunner thing, by the way? Are
Yeah,
you trying to think?
No, I know what I'm doing.
Oh.
Well, for my sections, I'm doing a daily game speedrun.
Oh,
and,
sick. Oh,
and
fuck
I'm
yeah.
going to pit. Well, I'm going to host a daily game speedrun. I'm going to pit the people against each other. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, you're doing the thing.
I love daily games. Like truly, I understand. Like I am not a speedrunner, and people have concerns about this event, which are real and founded. The thing that I would like to do on my birthday is the daily game speedrun.
Yo, wait, it's on your birthday?
Yeah, it's unironically on my birthday. I'm gonna get Georged here. Another white guy taking a speedrunner spot, and it's my fucking
Actually, he only
birthday,
did one
dude.
event, not two. So
Yeah, so that is yeah. What are the concerns people have? The concerns that are fully founded is that this is a speedrunning event, and in the announcement, it is a bunch of white men, and most of them are only partially speedrunners. And I completely agree, and it is a concern.
I also think that from an outsider
Mm-hmm.
looking in, knowing how hard it is to like get streamers to do anything,
Sure.
that like there's probably a bunch of I like I'm saying I know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a bunch of people that are like maybes that you can't put on a thing that would be great to be involved.
Sure, yeah.
People are naturally like in this space really hard at like confirming things or saying they'll be there, and they might be there, but you won't know until like an hour before the event or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
but I would say that this actually falls on, like, it's easy to like push the blame of like, it's hard to lock talent, and it's like, yeah, that's the thing, but there's also a problem here. I would say that
Yeah,
I wouldn't blame that.
I was just saying I don't think it's intentions. I think it's
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's more logistic things. It still doesn't change that it doesn't look bad. I agree. But,
Yeah, of course.
it's intentions wise. It wasn't like let's get as many white guys as possible. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There are like so many women who speedrun. There's so many people of color who speedrun that it's like it's such a humongous miss that announcement happened in the way that it did.
Hey, we should do another video.
I'll tell you, like being so bad about that announcement, I was unironically like crying a little bit yesterday of just like, dude, hey, like this sucks so fucking bad, and like I'm like I should not be a part of this. Like why am I think that I'm taking a spot from someone, even though I know I'm not like in this moment. It just sucks. And then the Logan Paul video, and it's like, hey, I've been wrong about everything for 2 weeks. Everything sucks, man.
Hey, well, I hope you feel a bit of retribution. I'm gonna edit this as quickly as possible and get it out
Yeah,
as quickly as
we
possible,
will see. Just give me a young Sheldon video and let me shut the fuck up. That's what I want.
That's ready, by the way, but I didn't want to post anything else before we posted.
This is also, this event didn't start as like a speedrunning event in the way. This event started with the ideation of, have you ever done like a lock-in, like a school or a church lock-in?
I've done a pub lock-in.
Yeah, it's like this was supposed to be
don't know
like
if that's the same.
What if we got all of our friends together and we did like it was supposed to be 48 hours. I came up with the name Fast 48 and I got Fast 50, which is a better name. And it was like, oh, imagine we get all these like streamers and like people who do fun game stuff, like Doug does like the AI stuff or like the chat controlled stuff, and Point Crow does blindfolded, and like a fucking hot dog eating contest, and like just a bunch of like weird shit. That it evolved last minute into like more speed running. I mean, I think everyone saw the Ludwig tweet, and then that like made a lot of the messaging weird. It's just everything got weird, and it sucks. It sucks, man.
Yeah, I think also I don't know. I think I'm too close to it to see it objectively, but I just know you guys aren't fucking cringes. So
sure, but I think it's unfair to say we're not cringers when we do something cringe. Like in this moment, we're cringers. You know, I don't need to. I don't think people should be forced to like look at our history. Maybe that would make it worse. Like I think you can look at this and be like, this sucks, and you're totally justified. And yeah you're right. Yeah.
I think that in the grand scheme, because like for me, just seeing shit on the internet or whatever, I saw this and was like, oh yeah, that sucks. Anyway, like
not me, dude. I know
that obviously this is like your thing, right? But I think contextually, this is by far like not the worst thing a creator has even done today.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, but I don't want to be comparing myself to bad things creators do. I would like to be
the bar is so low and you are so like above that bar, but your bar is
there's
high
a real bar.
And
There's a bar of like being better than.
I completely agree. I want you to contextualize it in like the space you are. This is not like a faux pas on the levels of like current streamers right now, let alone like just in history. But I do agree with your sentiments that I think if you do a thing that you're not happy with, you can be not happy with it. Yeah, that's fine. I want you to know that like in the grand scheme of things, I don't know.
It is
there are I guess there are worse people in the world isn't really a good like it's not a good response, but I'm talking more person to person, like to you, like,
right?
Don't take it on yourself rather than defending the announcement or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I just think that like speedrunning is such a fucking cool community that is so like diverse and so interesting.
Yeah.
That like the fact that we whiffed when that should be the first thing people think about in speedrunning, because it is like the advantage that speedrunning has, that it's actually fucking based as hell. Is like it's just embarrassing. I feel awful. Yeah. And I think it's comparing ourselves to kick streamers is so shitty. It's a way to pat ourselves on the back. I throw that out the window completely.
I know. I was saying on a personal level, but for you personally, I also wasn't compared to kick streamers.
Sorry, how do I pin a message? I can't figure it out, but I would like to pin this message and also save it as my desktop.
Wait, which one?
I think it's important to remember that all your stress over the last 24 hours is either cancer or Lud's fault.
Hey, I will say, I don't think you even knew why you should be stressed about this current thing until today.
No,
so
not
you
at
weren't
all.
really stressed about it. You were like,
I just got a lot of comments.
Annoyed.
They were like L, and I actually assumed it was like the Manosphere stuff, and it wasn't. Like it was an L.
Right, exactly. That's what I was. You didn't. If you'd known the weight of this, how do you think I felt, Stanz?
Yeah.
You aren't thinking of me. Don't
No.
put I shouldn't be even in the equation of making you. Feel
I only
bad.
think
felt
about my
bad.
business. I'm Logan pilled, bro.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
I think you can right-click a message. I know Weird Ari's already done it, but you.
I can't do it in OBS. I have to be on like a different thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right. Well, sorry. Go and.
Dead turtle, dead turtle, dead
Yeah,
turtle, dead
yeah.
turtle.
Live turtle. Dude, how come my thing doesn't say 30 seconds? Let me show. Oh, first attempt.
Oh, hello there.
Here
we
Start
are.
the speedrun. Let's
Again.
go.
This is second
This
second
feels
attempt.
familiar somehow, doesn't it?
No way already.
I forgot the buttons. I wish this woman wasn't talking to me.
Sorry
All
for
right,
the wait.
I'm
We just
going.
All right, peace out,
took
gamer.
our time
Have a
to make
good-
sure
have
we
a
didn't
good
fall victim
tree.
to
Bye.
a certain
Yeah,
cliche.
bye.
You know, the one where the sequel isn't as good as the original. Yeah, to hell with that.
Oh my god,
We've brought you a
I'm rough
challenge
today. I've just
that's
been feeling
going to
so
keep
bad.
you
I've
up
just
at
been
night.
feeling so bad.
A dedicated team has come together with complete disregard for your sanity, and we are finally ready to present Deep Dip 2.
Woo!
This one is bigger, better, taller, and scarier. I hope you came prepared because it's going to keep you busy for a while.
Good title.
Don't forget to explore the plugin a little bit. There's quite a lot to find. It has some really cool features and
What am I
can
doing?
really enhance your experience.
What am I doing?
As you traverse the tower, you and I might run into each other again. I may offer some words of encouragement.
Do it.
For
Offer
now,
some words of
though,
encouragement.
that's all I've got. Go on, start your adventure. We'll talk soon. Good luck.
Thank
have
you.
Fun, and the only way is up.
Okay. Okay, we're back. Yeah, it's Foddy and Trackmania. What sucks is I'm only going to be able to do a couple runs, but I think that I am excited about it. Okay. I gotta get some music going. This just stressing me out. Bonk. Have you seen Challengers? I have seen Challengers. You want to talk about Challengers? TTS is at 65. It's back. Sub and find out, baby. Dakota, thank you for the tier 1, by the way. It was so good. It was fine. I think it was mid to good. That's what I would say. It's not muted. It's good. Okay.
Sorry, I heard you wanted some music.
Yeah, I gotta get him out of here. Why didn't I leave this call? Why didn't I? There we go. PB is chat. Do you remember? I don't know why I didn't save. I'll show you right now because I'm about to get there. Don't you worry. I'll show you right now when I get there. Because I'm confident that I will first try PB again. Dude, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. Papa is cooking. PB is the W jump? Yeah, PB is the W jump. Correct. Whew, look how much better we are
So
than
you've started
day
a
one.
new
Okay,
journey.
yeah, I hear you.
Are you ready for this?
Okay,
Are you
please,
sure?
please.
The thing
You have to.
about journeys like
Okay, yeah,
this
the
is
thing
you
about
won't
journeys.
find out how
I'm
much
just
it
gonna
means
ignore
to
it.
you until
Walk
you
it
reach
like I
your goal.
talk it. Walk it,
Your
walk it
goal
like I
is
talk it.
personal,
Walk it,
though.
walk it like I
Others
talk
might
it.
have a different one. What's yours?
We're good. Completely alone in the server. Other people give up. That's not me. Not me though. Lock in. Dude, straighten out. Me when my parents sent me to conversion camp. Okay. Oh, okay. 1+2. I'll take it. Hey, we take it. Vibe Gem, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Have any creators beat Shallow Dip? Rizzo, I've seen, is very close. Rizzo missed the jump to the finish and hasn't tried again, or what? People beat it quickly? Really? Okay. Dry off those tires. This is actually a really good first attempt. Bad cam. I had bad cam on. Muscle. Fight! Maybe saved? Never a turtle. Where am I? Is that ice? What? Bro, where am I? Is there a savable moment here? What if I just rip that ramp as hard as I can? Warm-up run, warm-up run. Come on, come on. Not a turtle, not a turtle though, not a turtle. Okay. Still running DeepDip 2? Well, I mean, I haven't beat it yet, have I? I keep getting my cam... I keep getting my camera messed up. I keep doing small camera. Just watch the new Unpaid Intern. So good. Best one yet. You were electric. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is so funny. I agree that it's the best one yet. And I think that cast, I cannot wait to show you guys the next episode. But I do think that that cast had electricity. Okay. There's a new Unpaid Intern? No, it's the Squeaks episode. Not necessarily new. But... when we find out the new cast? That's a good question. You might not. You might just see an episode. Didn't even know that was possible to go that far. I have not finished Animal, though. There's been some leakers? No. You wrong. The heck? Squeak liked the cast so much he bid it for his event. Squeaks hates gay people. He uninvited Austin's show. Do you think I didn't notice that? He did Unpaid Intern cast minus Austin's show. I'm just saying. Oh, I did leak Michelle and Aiden, and Slime leaked himself. Wait, what? fantastic. There we go. Okay. Okay. Missing one person, might as well leak him. Maybe. You'll find out. I didn't leak shit. Wasn't Point Crow leaked? You think so? Beans that one. Oh, thank God. That could have been so much worse. Plot twist, the missing person stands with a mustache. I don't know if I would actually be good on unpaid intern. I think that of the contestants we've had so far, I am probably most similar to Wubby and Squeaks. I just don't know if I would freak my shit for real, you know? I had my own game show. Yeah, I want to bring back Task Manager. Maybe with a different branding. Because I think the idea of everyone doing challenges is so fun. Like, it's cool to have famous people do it, but you guys showing your ingenuity is so sick. I just don't know when I'm supposed to fucking do anything. I'm not a leaker. I don't leak. I don't have that raw sexual energy that Squeaks has. I would posit that we both have the exact same raw sexual energy, which is very little. Man who's trying to get a prescription for testosterone. What do you think of the new Dota patch? I heard some people yapping. I heard some people saying it's crazy. Damn, what a walk it like I talk it moment. Tap it in. The edge. Okay. Okay. How often does a Dota 2 patch come out? I think they're pretty infrequent, but sometimes a patch will come out and it's like this character has 10 more base HP. So that's like not big patches don't come out that often. Right? Isn't that the Dota thing? Oh, Greens is in. At least we got one competitor. Okay. Like there's a meme that is like, who is it? It's like Phantom Lancer +1 base armor, and that was like a patch, and they made that into a funny meme. If you're in water, it's easy to flip the car. Yeah, that's the power of water. Did you hear about what happened to Rizzo? I heard he lost it on last jump. He just doesn't have fucking ice in his veins like me. That's what I heard. Don't know what's true, though. Literally perfectly executed? Sorry, I heard he doesn't have ice in his veins like me. This game is just how you have to drive on the 405. People like saying stuff like that about LA freeways, but the truth is you just don't drive very fast. It's the same as everywhere else, just slow. I did it! I did it, baby! Woohoo! Did you see that? I hit reverse, and I cranked that hog. Let's go. Carly could never. Not PB. PB will be if I get back up to the W jump. Fuck! Tough. That's tough. They got the turtle. I thought I lined it up. What's crazy is I made that jump first try, and then the last 2 times I've missed it. Dude, I keep getting in wrong cam. Stop. I don't want to be in wrong cam. Okay. Okay. Bonk. What is VIP King of the Hill? It's going away soon, so I wouldn't worry about it. As far as I know. Or it's already gone away? Good. Okay. Just set it down. No. Silly. There you go. Okay. We got 4 minutes. I would love another attempt at W jump. That's my dream. Okay. Walk it like I talk it. 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 Shit. There we go. Okay. No!